Have you ever felt like a stranger in your own life, moving through the days in a body that feels unfamiliar, guided by a voice that is not truly yours? There is a room inside you, a quiet space that may have been locked for a very long time. Its windows are covered in the fine dust of other people's expectations, its floors layered with the faint echoes of past disappointments and roads not taken. We live in an age of noise, a constant, rushing river of information and demands that pulls us away from our own center. We learn to build masks so expertly that we forget the face beneath. We chase destinations set by a map we did not draw, and we wonder why we feel so profoundly tired, so deeply weary, even when surrounded by the spoils of our efforts. This exhaustion, this burnout, is not a failure of your capacity. It is a symptom, a soul fever, indicating that you have wandered too far from your own truth. Tonight, we do not seek to run faster, to build better masks, or to find another map. We seek to stop. We seek to turn inward. We will find the key to that quiet, forgotten room, not with force, but with intention. We will turn it gently in the lock and step inside. This is not a lecture. This is a homecoming. Let the world outside fade away. Let the noise of the day settle like silt at the bottom of a still lake. Here, in this shared silence, the journey begins. The path to self-love is not a destination you must strive to reach, but a frequency, a vibration you learn to tune into. It has always been there, waiting beneath the noise. And the first step, the only step you need to take right now, is simply to be still and to listen. We begin with the silence, not the absence of sound, but the presence of a space you have been taught to fear. For most of your life, you have been running from it, filling every crevice of your awareness with noise, with tasks, with thoughts, with the voices of others. You turn on the television, scroll through your phone, seek out conversation, not always for connection, but to avoid the profound and what feels like an unnerving stillness that waits within. This silence is a vast, open field, and you have been conditioned to believe that to stand in it is to be utterly and terrifyingly alone. But this is the first great illusion we must gently dismantle. That silence you are avoiding is not empty. It is your home ground. It is the very source of your being. The problem is that it has been occupied, colonized by 1,000 invading echoes. Think of your inner world as a deep, clear lake. In its natural state, its surface is calm, reflecting the truth of the sky above, and its depths hold a quiet, potent wisdom. But for years, stones have been thrown into this lake. The stone of your parents' ambitions for you, the stone of society's definition of success, the stone of advertisements telling you what you lack, the stone of past failures, whose impact sends ripples across the water again and again. What you perceive as your inner landscape is often just this chaotic, rippling surface, a distorted reflection of 1,000 external things. You look at it and see nothing clearly. You hear only the cacophony of the splashes, the endless overlapping echoes, and so you conclude that this chaos is you. You believe the noise is your own. The inner conflict, the deep and quiet struggle, is born from this. A part of you, the truest part, yearns for the lake to be still. It remembers, on a cellular level, what it feels like to be clear and deep. It craves the peace of its own nature. But another part of you, the conditioned self, the ego, is terrified of what will happen if the ripples cease. It asks, with genuine panic, if all these echoes fade, what will be left? If I am not my achievements, my roles, my anxieties, my history, then who am I? Will there be anything there at all? This is the fear of the void. The fear that if you subtract all the external definitions, the answer is zero. This is the lie that has kept you a prisoner of the noise. Here is the truth that will set you free. The silence is not a void. It is the canvas. It is the fertile earth. A masterpiece cannot be painted on a canvas already crowded with other people's sketches. A strong and ancient tree cannot grow from soil that is choked with the roots of lesser weeds. Your authentic self, your true energetic signature, cannot emerge and express itself amidst the deafening roar of what you are not. The core message, the light we must carry into this exploration, is this: to love yourself is to first grant yourself the grace of your own silence. It is to bravely reclaim your inner territory from the echoes that have claimed squatters' rights for far too long. How do we begin this reclamation? Not with a war, but with a simple, gentle practice. We will call it the sacred pause. It is an act of quiet rebellion against the tyranny of endless momentum. Several times a day, perhaps 3, perhaps 5, you will consciously choose to stop. It does not require a special room or a cushion. It can be done at your desk, in your car before you step out, or while waiting for water to boil. For just 1 minute, you will stop everything. You will close your eyes, shutting the door on the ceaseless demands of the visual world, and you will breathe. One conscious breath in, feeling the air as a gift of life. One conscious breath out, releasing the tension you did not even realize you were holding. And then you will listen. This is the heart of the practice. Do not listen for an answer. Do not listen for a mystical voice or a sudden revelation. That is the ego wanting a result, a product. Instead, listen to what is actually there. Listen to the subtle hum of your own physical existence. Can you feel the faint vibration of blood moving through you? Can you hear the soft whisper of air in your lungs? Can you feel the gentle, persistent rhythm of your own heart, beating faithfully in your chest, a drum that has played for you since before you were born? These are the first sounds of your own truth. They are the native language of your being, a language you have forgotten how to speak. In this sacred pause, you do not analyze, you do not judge, you do not try to fix anything. You simply sit in the quiet and allow yourself to be. You are the silent witness to your own life force. For 1 minute, you are not a doer, you are a being. When you first begin this, expect resistance. The moment you become quiet, the echoes may seem to scream even louder. The mind, addicted to its own frantic pace, will protest. It will throw lists at you, worries, fragments of conversations, anxieties about the future. This is normal. It is the churning of the water. Imagine you have been stirring that lake of your mind for decades. The moment you stop stirring, all the mud and sediment that was suspended in the chaos begins to swirl. It might look even murkier for a moment. The key is not to become discouraged. Do not grab the stick and start stirring again. Just watch the mud. Watch the thoughts, the echoes, swirl. And trust that if you remain still, they will begin ever so slowly to settle. Each sacred pause is an act of profound self-love. You are telling yourself, my own inner peace is more important than the next item on my to-do list. My own being is a worthy object of my attention. You are creating a new neural pathway, a new habit of returning to center. You are excavating your own foundation. The silence is not a punishment or a deprivation. It is a sanctuary. It is the quiet room where you can finally hear yourself think, not in the frantic, circular patterns of the ego, but with the deep, resonant clarity of the soul. As you practice this, the nature of the silence will change. The initial fear will subside, replaced by a sense of curiosity. The unnerving emptiness will begin to feel like peaceful spaciousness. You will start to discern the difference between the echoes and the true sound. An echo is frantic, repetitive, judgmental, and loud. The true voice, your intuition, is calm, quiet, steady, and feels like a deep knowing rather than a frantic thought. It does not shout, it resonates, but it can only be heard when the echoes have died down. So you sit by the edge of your inner lake. You practice the pause, you let the ripples fade. You stop throwing new stones in, and you look. You look past the distorted reflections of the clouds and the trees on the surface. You begin to sense the immense depth below. You realize that the lake is not shallow and chaotic. It is profoundly deep and full of life. It contains your unexpressed creativity, your unacknowledged wisdom, your buried courage, your boundless capacity for love. All of it is there, waiting in the beautiful, powerful silence. This is the first step on the path, recognizing that your own silence is not an enemy to be vanquished or a void to be feared, but a sacred space to be entered. It is the starting line of your journey home. By daring to be quiet, you create the possibility of hearing the only voice that truly matters. And once you begin to hear that voice, you will inevitably notice the primary disguise it has been hiding behind, the most elaborate and heavy costume you wear every single day. You will begin to feel the weight of your own mask. As you sit within the sanctuary of your own silence, you begin to notice what occupies the space. The first and most prominent figure you will meet here is the persona, the mask. It is the self you present to the world, a carefully constructed identity that stands guard at the gates of your inner being. Think of it not as a flimsy paper mask, but as a full suit of armor, one you have been forging and polishing for your entire life. It is heavy, it is restrictive, and you have likely worn it for so long that you have forgotten the feeling of your own skin, the freedom of unencumbered movement. You may even have come to believe you are the armor. Its clanking metallic sound has become the soundtrack to your life, so constant you no longer notice it. But you feel its weight, an inexplicable exhaustion that clings to you, a spiritual fatigue that no amount of sleep can cure. This weight is the energy it takes to be someone you are not, moment by moment, day by day. We must approach this armor not with aggression, but with understanding. You built it for a reason. It was not an act of vanity or deception, but an act of survival. Each piece was forged in the fires of necessity. As a child, you learned that certain behaviors earned you love and approval, while others brought disapproval or anger. So you fashioned the good child helmet, the quiet one breastplate, learning to hide the messy, loud, inconvenient parts of your true nature to secure your connection and safety. In the brutal playground of school and adolescence, you added more layers. The cool greaves to fit in, the smart gauntlets to prove your worth, or perhaps the invisible cloak to avoid attack altogether. Each piece was a brilliant strategy, a testament to your resilience and your deep need to belong. In your career, you bolted on the plaque of professionalism, the mask of competence and unwavering control, hiding any doubt or vulnerability. In relationships, you donned the gleaming shield of the perfect partner, the strong friend, the dependable child, fearing that your unpolished, authentic self, with all its needs and imperfections, would not be enough. Honor this creation. Thank it for getting you this far. It was a raft that carried you through treacherous waters, but you are on the shore now, and to continue your journey, you cannot carry the raft on your back. The tragedy of the mask is that what begins as a tool for survival inevitably becomes a prison. The armor that once protected you now isolates you. It prevents the warmth of genuine love from reaching your skin. It muffles the true sound of your own laughter. It keeps you from feeling the sharp, cleansing wind of honest feedback. You see the world through a narrow slit, a filtered reality, and you wonder why life feels so dull and distant. The constant vigilance required to maintain this facade is the source of so much of our collective anxiety. The fear of being found out, of the mask slipping, of someone seeing the tender, uncertain person underneath, is a relentless, low-grade stressor. It is a second, silent job we are all working, and the wages are burnout and a profound sense of loneliness. You can be in a room full of people, even people who love you, and feel utterly alone because the person they are interacting with is not you. It is your representative. It is the armor. Herein lies the great inner conflict, the silent battle being waged within you. There is a deep, primal yearning to lay the armor down, a soul-level desire to simply breathe, to stand in the sun and be seen, truly seen, for who you are. This desire is pitted against a terror that is just as primal, the fear of vulnerability. The armor whispers old warnings in your ear. If you take me off, you will be judged, you will be rejected, you will be hurt. You are not strong enough, you are not good enough, it is not safe. This fear, the fear of rejection, is the master lock holding all the buckles and straps of the persona in place. You are caught between the exhaustion of wearing the armor and the terror of taking it off. Let this message be a key to that master lock. True, unconditional self-love and the mask cannot coexist. They are mutually exclusive. Self-love is not about polishing your armor to a brighter shine. It is not about convincing yourself that the prison is a palace. It is the courageous act of beginning to unfasten the buckles, one by one. It is the radical declaration that your authenticity is more sacred than anyone else's approval. The liberation is not a guarantee that the world will suddenly become a safe and painless place. The world will be as it is. The liberation is the guarantee that you will no longer abandon yourself. You will no longer agree to the lie that you are unacceptable as you are. Removing the mask is not an act of loss. It is an act of profound reclamation. How do we begin this delicate process? We start gently, with a simple practice of inquiry. Find a quiet moment, a journal, and a pen. This is not an examination, it is an exploration. At the top of a page, write down one of the primary roles you play, one of the main plates of your armor. It could be your job title, I am a doctor. It could be a family role, I am a mother. It could be a social identity, I am the strong one, or I am the funny one. Hold that identity in your mind. Feel its weight, its shape, its texture. Then, beneath it, write the sacred question. Without this, who am I? And then be still. Let the answer emerge without force. Your mind will likely rush to offer other labels, to swap one piece of armor for another. Gently set those aside. Look deeper. Who are you without the title, without the function, without the expectation? Perhaps the answer is a quality. I am creative. I am curious. I am kind. Perhaps it is a feeling. I am quiet. I am tired. I am hopeful. Perhaps the most powerful answer of all will emerge. I don't know. To stand in that I don't know is an act of incredible bravery. It is to admit that you have identified with the armor for so long that you are unsure of the shape of your own body. This is a holy and essential starting point. This exercise is not about renouncing your roles. Your roles are a part of your life, but they are not the totality of your being. You are the consciousness that experiences being a doctor. You are the soul that inhabits the role of a mother. You are not the role itself. You are the vast, open sky. The roles are just clouds passing through. Each time you engage with this inquiry, you are loosening a strap on the armor. You are creating a little breathing room. You are reminding yourself of the distinction between the wearer and the worn. As you do this, you may begin to notice the world differently. You start to see the armor on others, the carefully constructed personas all around you, and you can meet them not with judgment, but with a newfound compassion, for you recognize the familiar weight they carry. This is a journey, not a single event. It is a slow and intentional peeling away of layers, not a violent tearing off. But as you remove even the smallest piece of armor, you will notice something. You will feel the air on your skin. It might feel cold and strange at first, this raw vulnerability, but then you will feel the warmth of the sun, a genuine moment of connection, a spontaneous laugh that comes from your belly, not your throat. You will taste your food more fully. You will hear music with a new clarity. You will begin to experience life directly, unfiltered by the metal and leather of your persona. This is the promise of liberation, but it also leads us to the next essential stage of our work. As the armor comes off, piece by piece, it reveals the tender skin underneath. And on that skin, you will find old scars, tender spots, and unhealed bruises. You will realize then that the armor was not just hiding you from the world, it was hiding you from your own pain. Its purpose was to shield these wounds. The brave act of removing the mask must be followed by the compassionate act of tending to what it reveals. Our path now leads us from the armory into the garden of old wounds that has been waiting in the shade for your loving attention. Having taken the first courageous step to look beneath your armor, you are now standing on the soil of your own inner world. And what you find here is not a barren wasteland, but a garden, a wild, untended, and profoundly rich garden. It has its sunlit patches where joy and confidence grow effortlessly, but it also has its shaded corners, its overgrown thickets, its patches of thorny briars. These are the places we will now walk toward, not with fear, but with the gentle intention of a wise gardener. These are your old wounds. Our culture teaches us to see these wounds as flaws, as evidence of brokenness. We are told to hide them, to get over them, to move on, as if they were shameful defects in our character. We have come to believe that a beautiful garden is one with no weeds, no gnarled roots, no sign of struggle. This is the second great illusion we must dismantle. Your wounds are not your weakness. They are a testament to your survival. They are the sacred ground where your greatest strength, your deepest compassion, and your most profound wisdom can choose to grow. For years, you have tried to manage this garden through avoidance. You paved over the thorny patches with the concrete of denial. You refused to look at the dark, overgrown corners, pretending they weren't there. You pulled down the shades on the parts of your history that felt too painful to re-examine. But a garden ignored does not cease to exist. It simply grows wild. The untended seeds of past hurts do not die. They sprout in the darkness, becoming the weeds of anxiety, the invasive vines of irrational fear, the bitter roots of unexpressed anger. These things then push their way through the cracks of your carefully constructed life, manifesting as self-sabotage, inexplicable sadness, or volatile reactions to present-day situations. You find yourself overreacting to a minor comment from a loved one, and you don't understand why. It is because their words did not land on the healthy soil of the present moment. They landed in the thorny, neglected patch of a past hurt, activating all the pain that was stored there. This creates an exhausting inner conflict. The conscious mind, in its desire to protect you, screams, "Do not go there. It will hurt. The past is the past. Leave it alone." It advocates for more concrete, thicker pavement, a higher wall. It believes that forgetting is healing, but the soul, the deep, knowing essence of you, understands a different truth. It knows that what is not transformed will be endlessly transferred. It knows that the energy of those old wounds is not gone. It is simply trapped, frozen in time, and it is silently directing the movie of your present life from behind the scenes. The conflict is between the short-term, illusory comfort of avoidance and the long-term, authentic freedom that comes only from turning around and facing your own garden with love. Here is the core truth, the watering can and the trowel for our work today. Healing is not the erasure of memory. That is impossible, and it is not the goal. Healing is the transformation of your relationship with your memory. It is the moment you stop being the child lost in the dark woods of your past and become the lighthouse keeper, shining a beam of compassionate awareness onto that landscape. You are the gardener, not a prisoner of the garden. The past happened, the root was planted, the thorn grew. That cannot be changed. But your role today is not to be the victim of the thorn. Your role is to be the conscious, loving presence Who decides how to tend to that part of the garden now? Do you let it fester in the shadows, or do you bring it into the light of your awareness? Do you water it with resentment, or do you plant seeds of compassion around it? The power is not in changing what was, but in choosing who you will be in relation to it, right here, in this moment. We will begin this tending with a practice of profound gentleness. It is called compassionate observation. It is not about forcing yourself into a painful memory. It is about creating a safe, quiet space and simply allowing whatever needs to be seen to surface. When you feel ready, find a place where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths, anchoring yourself in the safety of your present body. Then, invite any difficult memory or persistent feeling that has been troubling you to gently come forward. As it appears in your mind's eye, your first instinct will be to merge with it, to feel the pain, the shame, the fear all over again. This is where we make a subtle, powerful shift. Instead of reliving it, you will observe it. Now, engage your loving imagination. See the version of you who is at the center of that memory. See the small child being shamed. See the teenager being rejected. See the young adult experiencing failure or heartbreak. See them clearly, but see them as a being who is separate from who you are now. Your present, wiser, more compassionate self is here with them. Imagine yourself walking into that scene from the past. You are calm, you are strong, you are full of a love that this younger you has never known. You walk over and you sit down beside them. You do not try to stop the event from happening. You do not scold the others involved. You simply bring your peaceful presence to the one who is hurting. What does this wounded part of you need? They do not need a lecture. They do not need to be told to get over it. They need to be seen. They need to be validated. They need to know they are not alone. Perhaps you place a gentle hand on their shoulder. Perhaps you look them in the eyes and whisper the words they so desperately needed to hear back then. This is not your fault. You are allowed to be upset. You did the best you could with what you knew. I am here now. I will not leave you. Feel the truth of these words. You are making a promise to the wounded parts of yourself that you will no longer abandon them. In this moment, you are reparenting yourself. You are changing the ending of the story. The event itself doesn't change, but the conclusion does. The original conclusion was, I was alone in my pain. The new conclusion is, my future self came back for me and sat with me in my pain. I was not and am not alone. Each time you do this, you are tending to the garden. You are not trying to violently rip the gnarled root of a traumatic memory out of the ground. That would only tear the earth and harm the surrounding plants. Instead, you are gently clearing away the choking weeds of self-blame that have grown around it. You are aerating the compacted soil of old grief with the breath of compassion. You are watering the dry ground with the tears of release. You are planting new seeds of understanding and forgiveness in the very same patch of earth. Over time, something miraculous happens. New life begins to grow alongside the old wound. The beautiful, resilient flowers of empathy, of wisdom, of a deeper capacity for love begin to bloom, their roots intertwined with the old, dark one. The history of the wound is not erased, but it is integrated. It is no longer a blighted, shameful secret. It becomes part of the rich, complex, and beautiful tapestry of your garden, a place that gives you depth and character. These wounds are not a life sentence to suffering. They are portals. They are the cracks through which the light of your own consciousness can enter. By tending to them, you are not wallowing in the past. You are liberating your present from its unconscious grip. The immense energy you were using to keep these feelings suppressed, to keep the concrete pavement in place, is now freed. It becomes available to you as vitality, as creativity, as presence. But this sacred work of gardening requires a foundational skill. It requires the ability to be with discomfort, to be with what is, without the frantic urge to immediately fix it or run from it. It requires a profound energy of acceptance. To be a good gardener is to understand the seasons, to respect the cycles of growth and decay, to know when to act and when to simply be still. This is the wisdom of non-resistance. And so, our path now leads us to the edge of a great river, the river of life itself, where we must learn the difference between fighting the current and gracefully flowing with it. Having walked into the garden of your inner world and begun to offer compassion to the wounds you carry, you will quickly discover that this sacred work requires a particular quality of being. It requires an energy of profound allowance. As you sit with past pain, you will feel an immediate and powerful urge to push it away, to fix it, to escape it. This urge, this internal clenching against what is, has a name. It is called resistance, and it is the hidden source of nearly all your suffering. To truly heal, we must understand its nature. We must move from the garden to the riverbank and learn the difference between fighting the current and flowing with life. Imagine that your life is a great, powerful river. It has been flowing for eons before you and will continue long after. It has its own intelligence, its own direction, its own unstoppable momentum. It moves through seasons of calm, sunlit passage and seasons of turbulent, rocky rapids. Resistance is the belief that you, a single swimmer, can and should be able to control the direction and speed of this entire river. It is the act of turning to face the oncoming current and trying to swim upstream. It is the desperate attempt to build a dam with your bare hands. It is the argument you have with reality, the constant draining negotiation with what is. You get stuck in traffic and the resistance rises. This shouldn't be happening, I'm going to be late. It starts to rain on a day you had planned for sunshine. This always happens. It has ruined everything. You feel a wave of sadness or fatigue. I can't feel this way now. I have too much to do. Each of these thoughts is an act of war against the present moment. And in this war, you are guaranteed to lose. The river will always win. The suffering does not arise from the traffic jam, the rain, or the sadness itself. These are neutral events, neutral energies. The suffering arises from the friction created in the gap between what is happening and what your mind demands should be happening. This gap is filled with the fire of your resistance. It is the tension in your shoulders, the clenching in your jaw, the acid in your stomach. It is an immense and futile expenditure of your precious life force, burned away in a silent, internal battle against the unavoidable truth of the now. We have been taught that this struggle is noble. We call it fighting, pushing through, hustling. But from a spiritual perspective, it is a profound misunderstanding of the nature of power. True power is not in opposition, but in alignment. This brings us to the core inner conflict, the ego's insatiable craving for control versus the wild, untamable, and fluid nature of life itself. The ego is the part of you that believes it is separate from the river. It stands on the bank and draws maps, makes plans, and builds schedules, believing that reality should conform to its blueprints. It operates under the illusion that if it can just manage every variable, predict every outcome, and control every feeling, then it can guarantee safety and happiness. But the river of life cares nothing for the ego's maps. It will flood, it will change course, it will meander, it will rush. The ego, faced with this truth, panics. It sees the river as an adversary, a chaotic force to be subdued. This battle, the rigid mind against the fluid present, is the source of all anxiety. Anxiety is the energy you expend trying to hold a dam against the river of what might happen tomorrow. Frustration is the energy you burn, fighting the current of what has already happened. Here we must introduce a word that has been deeply misunderstood: surrender. In the language of the ego, to surrender is to lose, to give up, to be defeated. But in the language of the soul, to surrender is an act of the highest wisdom and courage. It is not giving up and collapsing in despair on the riverbank. That is hopelessness. Surrender is the conscious, empowered choice to stop fighting a battle you were never meant to win. It is the moment the exhausted upstream swimmer finally says, "I am done fighting." It is the choice for peace over the pointless stress of war. It is the ultimate act of self-love, freeing yourself from the torture of constant opposition. It is the profound intelligence that recognizes a power and a wisdom far greater than that of your own limited mind, and choosing to align with it. It is the moment you stop cursing the river and finally allow it to carry you. How do we practice this? We begin with a small, portable, and infinitely powerful tool. It is a simple mantra, "This too." This short phrase is a master key for unlocking the chains of resistance. The word "this" acknowledges the reality of the present moment, exactly as it is. It is a gentle, non-judgmental naming. Traffic, pain in my back, a feeling of loneliness, an unkind comment. Just this. The word "too" connects the current experience to the universal law of impermanence. It is a reminder that this moment, like every single moment that has preceded it throughout all of history, will also pass. It is not a permanent state. It is a cloud passing in the sky of your awareness. When you feel the internal clenching of resistance begin, you simply and silently introduce this phrase into your mind. You receive an upsetting email. Instead of immediately diving into the anger and blame, you pause, you breathe, and you think, "This too." You are not saying you like the email. You are not saying you will not respond. You are simply refusing to go to war with the fact that the email exists. You are meeting reality on its own terms. From this place of inner calm and acceptance, any action you choose to take will be infinitely more clear, intelligent, and effective. When the swimmer, exhausted from fighting the current, finally stops flailing and allows themselves to float on their back, everything changes. For the first time, they feel the immense supportive power of the water holding them up. They stop swallowing water and can finally breathe freely. They stop staring at the turbulent water in front of them and can now see the vast open sky above. They can feel the direction of the current, not as an enemy force, but as a guiding energy. The river, which a moment ago was an adversary, has become their vehicle. Now, from this state of surrendered floating, they can begin to navigate. A gentle kick of the foot can steer them away from a rock. A subtle shift of their body can guide them toward a calmer part of the stream. They are working with the river, not against it. They have become a graceful participant in the dance of life, not a frantic victim of it. This is the difference between struggle and flow. This practice of allowing, of saying a soft yes to the texture of the present moment, does not mean you become a passive doormat. It means you conserve your energy for what truly matters. Why waste 100% of your energy fighting the fact that it is raining, leaving you with 0% to find an umbrella or enjoy the cozy feeling of being indoors? Why burn all your strength resisting a feeling of sadness, leaving none for the compassionate inquiry into what that sadness has to teach you? Acceptance is not passivity. It is the foundation for wise action. As you begin to practice this letting go, floating, whispering, this too, you will notice a vast reservoir of energy becoming available to you. This is the energy that was previously being squandered in the endless battle of resistance. When this energy is no longer consumed by struggle, it naturally transforms into heightened awareness. The inner waters, no longer churned by your fighting, become clear, and when the water is clear, you can see to the bottom. You can finally get a good look at the one who was telling you to fight in the first place. You can observe the tireless architect of the struggle, the master storyteller of separation, the fearful tyrant who convinced you that you were a lonely swimmer who had to conquer a hostile river. You come face to face with the inner mechanism of control itself, the ego. Having learned to cease your struggle against the river of life, you find yourself floating in a state of quiet allowance. The waters of your mind, no longer churned by resistance, have become clear, and in this newfound clarity, you can finally see the entity who was orchestrating the struggle all along. You see the architect of your suffering, the master storyteller, the tireless builder of dams. You come face to face with what is commonly called the ego. It is essential that we approach this part of ourselves not as an enemy to be vanquished, but as a complex and misunderstood mechanism to be observed with wisdom and compassion. The ego is not a monster hiding in the shadows. It is the loud, opinionated, and often terrified narrator in the movie theater of your mind, and it has convinced you that its voice is your own. The ego is not inherently evil. It is, at its core, a survival tool that has outlived much of its original usefulness. When we were infants, we had no sense of a separate self. We were one with our environment, with our mother, with the world. For us to navigate this physical reality, a sense of I needed to form. The ego is the psychological construct of this I. It is the builder of your identity. It did this by creating separation. This is me and that is you. This is my body, my toy, my idea. This function was, and is, necessary for existing in the world. The problem arises when this tool, designed for practical identification, takes over the entire operation. The ego, in its quest to maintain and strengthen this sense of a separate me, becomes the source of our deepest suffering. How does it do this? Its primary methods are identification, comparison, and judgment. It identifies with things outside of itself to bolster its fragile existence. I am my job. I am my accomplishments. I am my possessions. I am my relationship. It also identifies with thoughts and beliefs. I am my opinions. I am my political affiliation. I am my knowledge. And most powerfully, it identifies with a story, the story of your past. The me becomes a bundle of memories, grievances, and past glories. Once it has established this identity, it must constantly defend and reinforce it. It does this through comparison. Am I richer or poorer? Smarter or dummier? More successful or less successful? This relentless comparing creates a world of hierarchy, of winners and losers, and generates endless anxiety, envy, and pride. The ego can only exist in relation to something else. It has no independent reality. Its fuel is drama. Its food is problems. A state of simple, peaceful being is a threat to the ego, because in that peace there is no problem to solve, no one to blame, nothing to strive for, and the carefully constructed sense of a separate, needy me begins to dissolve. Therefore, the ego will actively seek out or create conflict. It loves to be right. It loves to have an enemy. It loves to feel slighted, misunderstood, or victimized. A grievance is one of the ego's most cherished possessions, for it gives the me a powerful, solid identity. This is why it is the architect of suffering. Your problems, your drama, they are the very proof to the ego that it exists. This creates a profound inner conflict. You are living your life completely identified with this voice in your head. When the narrator says, "You are a failure," you feel the full, crushing weight of that identity. There is no space between the thought and your sense of self. You are the failure. When the narrator replays an old hurt, you are the victim, reliving the pain as if it were happening now. This is the hypnotic state of egoic unconsciousness. Yet, deep beneath this noisy narration, there is another part of you, a quiet, still, and timeless presence. Your soul, your awareness, your true self. This deeper self does not speak in words, but in a feeling, a yearning for peace, for stillness, for a release from the exhausting drama. The conflict is between the mesmerizing Technicolor movie of the ego playing on the screen and the quiet, persistent knowing that you are actually the audience, sitting in the dark, watching it all. The great liberation, the turning point in your spiritual journey, is the realization of this truth. You are not the ego. You are not the voice in your head. You are the awareness that is conscious of the voice. You are the space in which the thoughts arise and dissolve. The ego is an object appearing in your consciousness, just like the feeling of the chair beneath you or the sound of these words. The thought, "I am not good enough," is no more you than the sight of a cloud in the sky is the sky itself. The sky is the container for the cloud. You are the container for the thought. The moment you grasp this, even for an instant, you have created space, and in that space lies your freedom. The goal is not to fight the ego. To declare war on the ego is just the ego playing another, more clever game, the game of being a spiritual person who has an ego to destroy. The goal is simply to observe it, to see through its tricks, and to lovingly withdraw your belief in its stories. We can practice this with a simple, elegant technique, naming the storyteller. When you notice a familiar stream of negative thoughts beginning its performance, you do not argue with it. You do not try to suppress it. You do not analyze it to death. You simply and gently label it. As the inner critic begins its tirade about a mistake you made, you can say to yourself, the ego is telling the "I'm not good enough" story. When you find yourself replaying an argument, feeling the familiar fire of indignation, you can observe, interesting, the "I was wronged" channel is on again. When a wave of anxiety about the future washes over you, you can note, and here is the what if disaster movie. This simple act of naming is revolutionary. Firstly, it immediately breaks your identification with the thought stream. You are no longer the character in the drama. You have become the critic reviewing the play. You have moved from the screen into the audience. Secondly, it brings a sense of lightness, even humor, to what was once a heavy, all-consuming tragedy. It demotes the fearsome tyrant in your head to a predictable and somewhat boring storyteller whose plots are old and repetitive. You take away its power by refusing to take its performance so seriously. Let us return to the movie theater of the mind. To be lost in the ego is to be completely engrossed in the film. Your heart pounds during the chase scene. You weep at the sad part. You are utterly convinced of the reality on the screen, forgetting completely that you are in a theater, that this is just projected light and shadow. This is the normal human state of unconsciousness. The spiritual awakening is that moment of lucidity, perhaps sparked by suffering or grace, when you wake up inside the movie. You suddenly become aware of the seat you're in, the faint smell of popcorn, the silent presence of others around you. You realize you are watching a screen. You can still appreciate the artistry of the film, you can still follow the story, but it no longer holds absolute power over you. You know it is not your ultimate reality. You are the awareness that is watching. Naming the storyteller is the practice of consciously remembering that you are in the audience. By ceasing to identify with the ego, you stop feeding it. It thrives on your unconscious attention and belief. When you withdraw that belief, it begins to lose its power over you. It may still chatter away, but its voice becomes more distant, like a radio playing in another room. The immense amount of energy that was consumed by egoic dramath, worry, the resentment, the posturing, the fear is now reclaimed. It is returned to you as calm, clear presence. When you are no longer completely lost in the ego's favorite movies, yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's fears, you find yourself landing, perhaps for the first time, in the only place where life is actually happening. You arrive in the place the ego cannot truly dominate, because in it there are no problems, only situations. You discover the profound power, the deep peace, and the creative potential of the only time that ever is, the eternal present moment. Having disarmed the ego by stepping back from its stories, you are left standing in a new and unfamiliar landscape. You have stepped out of the turbulent river of psychological time, the past and the future, and onto the solid ground of the present moment. This ground may feel foreign, for you have been trained your entire life to live anywhere but here. The mind, conditioned by the ego, is a masterful time traveler. It constantly escapes the now, either by retreating into the ghostly halls of the past to brood over regrets and grievances, or by rocketing into the phantom territory of the future to rehearse anxieties and script fantasies. But here is the most simple and profound truth we will explore. The now is the only place life ever happens. The past and future are mental constructs, necessary for practical living, but they have no reality outside of your own mind. Your power, your peace, and your very aliveness are only ever found here. Let us look closely at why the mind avoids the present. The ego, the storyteller you have just learned to observe, cannot survive in the now. Its entire identity is woven from the threads of past and future. The past gives it its sense of grievance and victimhood, its story of me and what has happened to me. The future gives it its sense of purpose through striving and its sense of existence through worry. The future holds the promise of the ego's salvation or its damnation, and either one gives it energy. When I achieve this, I will be complete, or if this terrible thing happens, I will be destroyed. Both are fictions that keep the ego's drama alive. The present moment, in its simple, unadorned reality, is a threat. In the now, there is often no problem. There is only the situation as it is. There is the feeling of the breath, the sound of rain, the warmth of a cup in your hands. In this simple reality, the egoic self, with its complex dramas and needs, begins to dissolve. It has nothing to latch onto. Furthermore, within you resides what some have called the pain body. It is an energetic field composed of the accumulated emotional pain from your past that you were unable to fully process and release at the time. This pain body is a semi-autonomous entity that lies dormant for periods and then awakens, triggered by some event, to feed. Its food is more pain. It feeds on negative thinking and emotional drama. It hijacks your mind and forces you to replay old painful memories or to generate intense anxiety about the future, because the negative emotions produced by these thoughts are its nourishment. The pain body actively fears the present moment. The light of your conscious presence is poison to it. It knows that if you bring your full awareness into the now, it cannot feed, it cannot survive. So it will do everything in its power to pull you back into the familiar, painful stories of your past and the fearful projections of your future. This creates the central inner conflict regarding time. You feel the seductive, almost addictive pull of rumination and worry. It can feel productive, as if you are figuring things out or preparing yourself. But this is an illusion. You are simply feeding the old mechanisms of ego and pain. On the other side is the soul's deep, quiet yearning for peace, for the simple state of being here. The conflict is between the mind's addiction to complexity and the soul's deep need for simplicity. It is the choice between the turbulent illusion of psychological time and the profound peace of the present moment. Here we arrive at the core message, the great secret known to mystics and sages throughout history. The present moment is an alchemical portal. It is the crucible in which suffering is transformed into consciousness. Alchemy was the ancient art of turning base metals like lead into gold. The now is the space where the lead of your pain and anxiety is transmuted into the gold of wisdom and presence. When you are lost in a painful memory, you are unconscious. You are the pain. But when you consciously allow that same painful memory to arise while you are firmly anchored in the awareness of the present moment, something magical happens. The light of your presence shines upon the old pain. The pain, which is just trapped energy, cannot survive this light. It begins to dissolve. It is not that the memory is erased, but its emotional charge is neutralized. Its power over you is broken. The lead of raw pain is transformed into the gold of wisdom and compassion. This is healing. Similarly, when anxiety about the future grips you, you are lost in a phantom world. But if you can stop, breathe, and bring your awareness back to the now, you realize the truth. The feared event is not happening. It is only a thought in your head. Here, in this moment, you are breathing. Here, in this moment, you are safe. The anxious energy, when met with the light of your presence, is transformed. The lead of fear is transmuted into the gold of mindful presence. This is peace. The present moment is the only place this alchemy can occur. You cannot heal in the past. You can only heal the past from the now. You cannot secure the future. You can only create a better future by being fully present in the now. So how do we step into this alchemical chamber? How do we anchor ourselves on this solid ground when the winds of the mind are so strong? We do so through our senses. Your mind can think about the past or the future, but your body can only exist in the now. Your senses are the doorways out of the prison of compulsive thought and into the living reality of the present. The practice is called anchoring. It is the simple act of choosing one sensory input and placing your full, undivided attention upon it. You can do this right now. Choose an anchor. Perhaps it is the sense of touch. Feel the points of contact between your body and the surface supporting you. Feel the weight of your hands resting on your lap. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. Explore these sensations with your attention as if you were discovering them for the first time. Or choose the anchor of sound. Close your eyes and listen. Do not label the sounds. Don't think, that is a car, or that is a bird. Instead, just receive the raw vibrations. Hear the tapestry of sound around you, the high-pitched sounds, the low rumbles, the near sounds, the distant sounds. Let your awareness be a vast, open space in which these sounds can arise and pass away. Or choose the anchor of sight. Rest your eyes on an object near you, a plant, a pen, a wood grain. Look at it as if you have never seen it before. See the play of light and shadow, the subtle variations in color, the intricate details. Drink it in with your eyes without a single word forming in your mind. As you do this, even for just 30 seconds, you will notice a miracle. The incessant chatter in your head, the voice of the ego, subsides. It cannot compete with the richness of full sensory awareness. You have not forced the thoughts to stop. You have simply shifted the spotlight of your attention from the drama in your head to the reality under your feet. You have stepped out of the story. You have come home to the now. Let the central metaphor be your guide. The past is a ghost. It rattles its chains in the corridors of your mind, but it has no substance here. To live in the past is to try and embrace a phantom. The future is a mirage. It shimmers on the horizon, promising oases of happiness or threatening deserts of despair. But the more you run toward it, the more it recedes. It is an illusion created by the heat of your own mind. The present moment is the only solid ground. It is the only place you can ever stand, the only place you can build a life, the only place you can plant a seed. Anchoring through your senses is the conscious act of feeling your feet firmly planted on this sacred, solid ground. When you learn to inhabit the now, you reclaim your life. You stop feeding the ghosts and chasing the mirages. You discover that the peace, the aliveness, and the sense of wholeness you were seeking in some future destination were here all along, waiting for you beneath the noise of your mind. As you become more established in this state of presence, you will begin to notice the vessel that carries you through each moment with a new intimacy. You will start to feel your body not just as a physical shell, but as an incredibly intelligent, living system of wisdom. You will learn that your body is not a machine to be commanded, but a compass to be consulted, constantly pointing you toward your truth. As you learn to inhabit the sanctuary of the present moment, you become intimately aware of the vessel that carries you through it, your own body. For most of us, the body is treated like a beast of burden or a machine. We command it, we discipline it, we adorn it, we criticize it, and we largely ignore it until it breaks down in pain or illness. We have been educated into a profound state of disconnection from our physical form, taught to privilege the chattering, analytical mind as the sole seat of our intelligence. We have divorced ourselves from the earth of our own being. Today, we begin the process of reunification. We learn to see the body not as a servant, but as a sage. We learn to listen to it not as a collection of symptoms, but as a wise and unwavering compass. Our culture has enshrined the rational mind as king. We are taught to make lists of pros and cons, to analyze data, to trust logic, and to dismiss the body's feedback as mere feelings unreliable, emotional, and inferior to the pristine calculations of the intellect. But the body speaks a language far older than words. It is the language of sensation, of energy, of intuition. A sudden knot in your stomach when you are offered a new opportunity. A feeling of expansive lightness when you meet a certain person. A chronic ache in your shoulders that seems to carry the weight of the world. A tightness in your chest when you are about to say yes to something you know you should refuse. These are not random biological glitches. This is communication. This is high-fidelity data streaming directly from the core of your being. This is your body telling you the truth, unfiltered by the ego's desire to please, to achieve, or to be safe. The body keeps the score of your entire life. Every joy, every fear, every unexpressed grief and unprocessed trauma is stored not just as a memory in the brain, but as an energetic imprint in the cells and tissues of your body. That tension in your jaw may be decades of unspoken anger. That hollowness in your belly may be the lingering echo of childhood loneliness. Your body is a living archive, a sacred text of your personal history, and it is constantly trying to guide you toward wholeness by bringing these stored energies to your attention. A physical ailment is often not a malfunction, but the body's final, desperate attempt to deliver a message that you have been ignoring on more subtle levels for a very long time. Herein lies a familiar inner conflict, the battle between the head and the gut. You are considering a decision. Your mind, the logical processor, is busy. It tells you what you should do. You should take this job. The salary is excellent, and it will look impressive to others. You should stay in this relationship because it is comfortable and predictable, and being alone is frightening. You should go to this family gathering because it is your duty, and to refuse would cause conflict. The mind presents a case based on fear, convention, and external validation. But at the exact same time, your body, your compass, is giving you a completely different signal. Your stomach is churning at the thought of the new job. Your heart feels constricted when you think of your partner. Your entire energetic field feels heavy and drained at the prospect of the social event. You are caught in a classic schism. You are trying to drive your car with one foot on the accelerator and one foot on the brake. We have been trained, systematically, to trust the noisy logic of the shoulds and to override the quiet, deep knowing of the body. This is a primary act of self-abandonment. The core message today is a call to return home. Learning to love yourself is synonymous with learning to trust yourself. And learning to trust yourself is impossible without learning to listen to, honor, and act upon the wisdom of your body. Your body has no ego. It has no ulterior motive. It does not care about impressing your neighbors or placating your boss. Its sole, unwavering agenda is your survival, your health, and your alignment with your most authentic path. It is your most loyal, truthful, and incorruptible advisor. To re-establish this sacred dialogue is not some esoteric practice for mystics. It is your human birthright. It is the process of reclaiming your most fundamental intelligence. We practice this reconnection through the body scan meditation. This is not an exercise in relaxation, though relaxation is a common side effect. It is an exercise in listening. It is the practice of re-inhabiting your own skin. Find a time and place where you can lie down and be undisturbed. Give yourself the gift of 20 minutes to do nothing but feel. Close your eyes and bring your attention, like a gentle, warm spotlight, to the toes of your left foot. Don't just think about your toes. Can you feel them from the inside? Can you sense the life energy pulsating within them? Simply notice any sensation, warmth, coolness, tingling, numbness, without any judgment. Whatever is there is perfect. Then, slowly, lovingly, begin to move that spotlight of awareness up your body. Feel your foot, your ankle, your shin and calf muscle. Linger for a moment at your knee. Continue up through your thigh, your hip, into the great bowl of your pelvis. Move your attention through your abdomen, an area where we store so much fear and unprocessed emotion. Just be with whatever sensations are there. Let them be. Continue up into your chest, the home of your heart. Can you feel its steady beat? Feel the gentle expansion and contraction of your lungs. Travel down your arms, into your hands and fingers. Return to your torso and move the spotlight up through your throat, an area where unspoken words often get stuck. Soften your jaw, a great storehouse of tension. Feel your lips, your cheeks, your eyes resting in their sockets. Travel over your scalp and finally to the very top of your head. Then, for a few moments, feel your body as a whole, a single, unified field of sensation, gently breathing. The purpose of this journey is not to fix or change anything. It is simply to show up. It is to say to your body, through the quality of your attention, I am here, I am listening, I am willing to feel. This practice is how you learn to read your compass. At first, the sensations may be faint, the needle hard to discern. The mind will try to offer its loud maps and charts, its logical arguments. But this doesn't make sense. This feeling is irrational. But as you persist in the quiet practice of listening, the compass becomes clearer. You start to notice how a yes feels in your body. It is often a sense of opening, of lightness, of expansion, of warmth. You start to recognize the feeling of a no, a contraction, a tightness, a feeling of dread or heaviness. The body's truth is not complicated. It is a simple binary signal, open or closed, flow or resistance, yes or no. Your mind can point in 1,000 different directions at once, creating confusion and paralysis. The compass of your body only ever points in one direction, true north. It may not point toward the path of least resistance or the most socially acceptable choice, but it will always, unfailingly, point toward the path that is most aligned with your soul's growth and your deepest well-being. When you begin to unify your mind with your body, making decisions from this whole and integrated place, you cultivate an unshakable sense of self-trust. You are no longer easily swayed by the opinions of others or the demands of your own conditioned mind. You are rooted in a deeper authority, and one of the very first and most crucial pieces of information, your newly calibrated compass, will give you concerns your own life force. It will show you, in undeniable physical sensations, which people, which environments, which activities, and which commitments energize you, and which ones drain you. You will feel where your precious energy is being respected and where it is being leaked away. This direct, embodied feedback makes you acutely aware of the necessity of protecting that energy. It will lead you, inevitably, to the next essential practice on the path of self-love. the art of creating and maintaining sacred boundaries. As you become fluent in the language of your body's compass, you will receive undeniable information about your own energy. You will feel, with visceral clarity, the people, activities, and situations that nourish and expand you, and those that diminish and drain you. Your compass, in its infinite wisdom, is showing you where your life force is leaking. To honor this wisdom is to begin the essential and often challenging practice of setting sacred boundaries. Think of the inner world you have been tending as a beautiful, precious garden. You have cleared the weeds of old stories and watered the soil with compassion. Now, you must learn to build a fence, not to imprison yourself, but to protect the sacred space where your soul is learning to bloom. Our culture has poisoned the concept of boundaries. We have been taught that being a good person means being endlessly available, perpetually accommodating, and always saying yes. We have equated selflessness with a complete lack of personal limits. This is a dangerous and deeply damaging falsehood. A life without boundaries is not an act of kindness. It is a slow act of self-annihilation. It is a state of chronic self-abandonment. The compulsive need to please others, to be seen as helpful and agreeable at all costs, is not a virtue. It is a trauma response, rooted in the core fear that we are not inherently worthy of love, and that we must therefore purchase our worthiness through constant service and self-sacrifice. Each time you say yes when your body is screaming no, you betray yourself. You send a message to your own soul that everyone else's needs, comfort, and desires are more important than your own. This betrayal creates a slow-building poison of resentment that erodes your vitality and corrodes the very relationships you are trying to preserve. This leads to a powerful inner conflict that will be familiar to many. It is the gut-wrenching turmoil between your deep need to protect your own peace and the intense, conditioned fear of disappointing someone else. You receive a request that you know, on a deep level, you do not have the energy or desire to fulfill. Immediately, the inner voices begin their assault. The voice of guilt screams, "You are being so selfish, they need you." The voice of fear whispers, "If you say no, they will be angry. They will think you are a bad person. They might reject you, even abandon you." And the voice of habit chimes in, "But you've always been the one to handle this. It's just what you do." This internal cacophony is often so overwhelming that saying yes feels like the path of least resistance, a quick way to silence the noise and relieve the immediate discomfort. But the relief is temporary. It is the relief of silencing your own truth, and the long-term cost is immense. The core conflict is this: you must choose between the acute, temporary discomfort of someone else's potential disappointment and the chronic, soul, deep pain of your own self-betrayal. The path of self-love requires the courage to choose the former in order to liberate yourself from the latter. To do this, we must reframe our understanding. Here is the core message that will transform your relationship with boundaries. A boundary is not a wall, it is a gate, and you are the gatekeeper. A wall is a rigid, permanent structure built from fear. It is designed to keep everyone and everything out. It creates isolation. A gate, however, is a conscious and flexible threshold. It acknowledges that you have a sacred space, your time, your energy, your emotional well-being, and that you are in charge of what you allow into that space. As the gatekeeper, you have the power of discernment. You can swing the gate wide open for people and experiences that are nourishing and respectful. You can open it just a crack to engage with something for a limited time. And you can, and must, learn to keep it firmly and lovingly closed to that which is draining, toxic, or harmful. Furthermore, a no spoken from a place of authentic self-respect is one of the most loving things you can offer. It is, first and foremost, an act of love for yourself. It is a declaration that you are worthy of protection. But it is also, paradoxically, an act of love for the other person. A clear boundary teaches people how to treat you. It allows the relationship to be built on a foundation of honesty and mutual respect, rather than on obligation and hidden resentment. A kind, clear, and firm no is infinitely more honorable than a yes that is followed by passive aggression, emotional withdrawal, or the silent poison of feeling like a martyr. You are offering the other person your truth, and there is no greater gift. How do you begin this practice when the habit of people-pleasing is so deeply ingrained? You start by creating a pause. The automatic, fearful yes is a reflex. To change it, you must insert a space between the request and your response. Your new and most powerful tool is a simple, elegant phrase. When asked for something, instead of your habitual, "Of course," you will practice saying, "Thank you for asking. Let me check my calendar and get back to you." Or, "That's an interesting idea. Let me think about that, and I'll let you know." This phrase is a sacred tool of liberation. It buys you time, and in that time, you are not just checking your schedule, you are checking your compass. You are giving yourself the space to breathe and ask your body, "What is my true and honest response to this? Is this a yes of genuine desire and expansion, or a no of contraction and obligation?" This pause allows you to break the habit loop and to formulate a response that is aligned with your integrity, not your fear. Let us return to the metaphor of your sacred garden. A life without boundaries is a beautiful garden with no fence, situated on a busy public thoroughfare. Anyone can wander in at any time. They can trample your carefully tended flower beds, help themselves to your fruit, leave their garbage behind, and wander off, leaving you exhausted, resentful, and constantly trying to repair the damage. You wonder why you are so tired, why your garden never seems to flourish. Setting boundaries is the loving, necessary act of building a fence around your garden. It defines your sacred space. It communicates to the world that this is private, precious ground. The fence protects the tender new seedlings of your growing self-worth. You are the gatekeeper. You are not a prisoner locked inside the fence. You can leave your garden anytime you choose to go out into the world, and you are the sole authority on who and what you allow to enter. This is not selfishness. This is wise and responsible stewardship of the unique, beautiful, and irreplaceable garden that is your life force. You will find that those who truly respect you will respect your fence and will be happy to wait at the gate. Those who become angry or demanding about your fence are the very people it was built to protect you from. Their reaction is not a sign that your boundary is wrong. It is a sign that your boundary is necessary. As you begin to practice this, saying no to others and a firm yes to yourself, you will unleash a powerful new energy in your life. But this act of defining your light will inevitably cast a shadow. When you stop suppressing your own needs to please others, you may find a deep well of your own anger and resentment surfacing, emotions you never knew you had. By standing in your own truth, you may also provoke the shadow aspects of those around you who felt entitled to your boundless energy. The act of building a fence illuminates everything, both inside and outside of it, that does not honor the light. And so, our journey now requires us to turn and face these darker, disowned energies with courage and curiosity. It is time to befriend your own shadow. As you stand your ground, tending to the sacred garden of your life and lovingly maintaining its fences, you will notice that this act of defining your light inevitably illuminates the darkness. The courageous act of saying no to the outside world can unleash a surprising yes from within, a yes to feelings of anger, resentment, or frustration that you may have suppressed for years. In choosing your own well-being, you may provoke the disowned parts of others, their own shadows. This path of self-love does not lead away from the darkness, it leads directly through it. And so, we must now turn and face one of the most misunderstood and powerful aspects of the human psyche, the shadow. Coined by the great psychologist Carl Jung, the shadow is the personal unconscious. It is the invisible bag we all carry. And into this bag, from our earliest days, we have shoved every aspect of ourselves that we deemed unacceptable. Every unlovable trait, every bad emotion, every shameful desire, your raw anger, your fierce ambition, your messy vulnerability, your envy, your greed, your primal sexuality, anything that did not fit the pristine image of the good child or the acceptable person was disowned, repressed, and banished to the darkness of this bag. We all have a shadow. It is not a sign of being broken. It is an inescapable part of being human. The only choice we have is whether we will spend our lives pretending the bag isn't there, or if we will have the courage to open it and examine its contents. For most of our lives, we pretend it isn't there. But the contents do not disappear. What is suppressed does not die. It simply goes underground and operates from the shadows, controlling us in ways we cannot comprehend. This is the source of our self-sabotage, our inexplicable moods, our sudden volcanic eruptions of rage that seem to come from nowhere. It is the reason we find ourselves repeating the same destructive patterns despite our best conscious intentions. A primary way the shadow makes its presence known is through projection. The qualities that you find most irritating, most infuriating, or most contemptible in other people are very often the direct reflection of your own disowned shadow traits. That person whose arrogance drives you mad, perhaps they are mirroring a healthy self-confidence you were taught to suppress. That person whose laziness fills you with righteous indignation, perhaps they are reflecting a part of you that desperately craves rest, a part you have mercilessly judged and denied. The world becomes a screen, and we project the unexamined horror movie of our own inner darkness onto others, judging them for it, rather than owning it as our own. This creates a painful inner conflict, especially for those on a path of self-development or spiritual growth. We strive to be good, to be kind, to be loving, to be full of light. We meditate, we affirm, we practice compassion, and then, out of nowhere, a wave of intense jealousy, a flash of murderous rage, or a thought of profound selfishness rips through us. In that moment, we feel like a complete fraud. The spiritual persona we have carefully constructed shatters, and we are left drowning in shame. We think, a truly spiritual person wouldn't feel this way. We then try to suppress the bad feeling even harder, creating a vicious cycle of repression and shame. The conflict is between our idealized self, who is pure light, and the reality of our human self, who is a complex and beautiful mixture of both light and dark. We are trying to become whole by amputating half of our own being. Here is the radical, liberating core message. Wholeness is not perfection. Wholeness is integration. Your shadow is not your enemy to be defeated. It is a source of profound, untapped power and vitality that you have banished from your kingdom. True spirituality is not about climbing into the light and leaving the darkness behind. It is about having the courage to carry the light of your consciousness down into the darkness and to see what treasures are hidden there. For buried in that shadow is not just your pain, it is your power, your healthy aggression, the life force you need to pursue your goals and protect your boundaries is in that bag. Your untamed creativity, your primal connection to the earth and to your instincts is in that bag. Your deepest vulnerability, the very quality that allows for true intimacy and connection, is in that bag. In your attempt to be good, you have exiled some of the most potent and vital parts of yourself. To befriend the shadow is not to become evil. It is to become whole. It is the sacred work of reclaiming your lost power. It is crucial to understand the difference between integration and indulgence. To indulge the shadow is to be possessed by ito. Let your rage erupt destructively, to act on your greed without conscience. That is not healing. That is simply unconsciousness. To integrate the shadow is a conscious act. It is the process of bringing these disowned energies into the light of your awareness, looking at them without judgment, listening to their messages, and then choosing how to channel their energy wisely. We can begin this work with a safe and powerful practice: shadow journaling. Find a private space and a journal. This is a sacred meeting between you and the lost parts of yourself. Begin by choosing a focus. You might choose an emotion you typically judge, like anger or envy, or you might choose to focus on a person who consistently triggers a strong, irrational, negative reaction in you. Then, you will give the shadow a voice. Write a letter from the perspective of your anger. Let it speak on the page. What is it so furious about? What injustice does it see? What boundary has been trampled? You will often find that beneath the unacceptable rage is a deep commitment to justice and a fierce desire to protect your younger, more vulnerable self. Or, let your envy speak. What does it covet so desperately in another? Do not judge its desire. Look beneath it. Envy is almost always a distorted messenger of your own soul's deepest longing. It is pointing toward a potential within you that you have not yet dared to claim. If you are working with a projection, write about the quality in the other person that you despise. Then, ask the brave question: where does this same quality exist in me, even in a small way? When have I acted like this? The purpose of this is not to shame yourself. It is to listen. It is to learn. The shadow, when met with curiosity instead of judgment, ceases to be a saboteur and becomes an invaluable guide. It points you directly to the parts of your life that need your conscious attention. It shows you where you are out of alignment with your own truth. Think of yourself as an iceberg. The part of you that is visible above the water, your conscious personality. Your persona is only a small fraction of your total being. The vast, unseen mass of ice beneath the surface is your shadow. It is this hidden part that dictates the iceberg's true movement and holds most of its power. To navigate life while ignoring this immense, submerged part of yourself is to be driven by unconscious currents, to be at the mercy of forces you do not understand. Shadow work is the courageous act of putting on your diving gear and taking a lamp of your loving awareness down into the cold, dark water. It is the work of exploring what is there, of mapping its contours, of understanding its immense power. By doing so, you are no longer a victim of its currents. You become the captain of your entire vessel, both the seen and the unseen. By befriending and integrating your shadow, you become a more authentic, grounded, and formidable human being. You are no longer brittle, no longer so easily threatened, because you are not pretending to be only half of what you are. The immense amount of life force you were using to hold the shadow down, to keep the lid on the bag, is suddenly liberated. This reclaimed energy is pure, raw power. It is rocket fuel for your life. But this untamed energy, this reclaimed vitality, now requires a vessel. It needs a purpose. It demands a direction. Raw power without a strong container can become chaotic and dissipated. And so, our journey now calls for us to become a blacksmith, to step up to the forge and begin the sacred work of building that container. We must learn to wield the fire of discipline. After journeying into the shadowlands of your psyche and beginning the courageous work of reclamation, you find yourself in possession of a new and potent energy. The life force that was once consumed by suppressing and denying parts of yourself is now liberated. It is raw power, pure potential, but power without direction is chaos. Energy without a container dissipates. To truly harness this reclaimed vitality, we must now step into the role of the blacksmith. We must approach the forge, light the fire, and begin the sacred, transformative work of shaping our own will. We must learn to embrace the fire of discipline. This word, discipline, is perhaps one of the most misunderstood and maligned in our modern vocabulary. We associate it with punishment, with harsh deprivation, with the joyless, rigid denial of life's pleasures. We picture a stern schoolmaster or a merciless drill sergeant. This perception is a relic of an old, external, and authoritarian model of control. It is a model based on fear. We must discard it entirely. True, conscious self-discipline is not an act of self-punishment. It is the ultimate act of self-love. It is the voice of your highest, wisest self making a choice in the present moment that will serve your future self. It is the art of choosing what you want most over what you want now. Within each of us, there is a constant dialogue between two aspects of our being. There is the lower self, the part of us driven by the biological imperatives for comfort, pleasure, and the conservation of energy. This self seeks the path of least resistance. It craves the sugary snack, the mindless distraction, the warmth of the bed for 5 more minutes. Its motto is, "I'll do it tomorrow." Then there is the higher self, the timeless, conscious part of you that knows your true potential. It is oriented toward growth, purpose, and the deep, lasting fulfillment that comes from becoming more of who you truly are. Discipline is simply the act of allowing your higher self to take the reins. It is a loving parent guiding a willful child, not with anger, but with firm, unwavering wisdom. Every time you honor a commitment you've made to yourself, you are casting a vote for your higher self. You are building self-respect and self-trust, brick by brick. You are proving to yourself, through action, that you believe you are worthy of your own aspirations. The inner conflict, then, is the daily battle waged at the crossroads of choice. It is the siren song of comfort versus the quiet call to growth. The resistance you feel when contemplating a disciplined act is the gravitational pull of your old habits. Your mind, a brilliant servant of this inertia, will generate 1,000 compelling excuses. I'm too tired. I'm not inspired right now. One day won't make a difference. I deserve a break. These are not objective truths. They are the propaganda of the lower self, designed to keep you in the familiar territory of your comfort zone. Each moment presents a choice. One path leads back into the easy, predictable landscape of your past self. The other path leads up the initially steep and challenging terrain toward the summit of your potential. There are no insignificant choices. Every single one either strengthens the habit of discipline or reinforces the habit of procrastination. Here is the core message that will transform your relationship with this practice. Discipline is not a cold, rigid cage. It is a purifying, transformative fire. Your willpower is a piece of raw iron, soft, impure, and shapeless. To forge it into a sharp and resilient blade, it must be subjected to heat and pressure. The discomfort and resistance you feel is the fire. It is the necessary heat that makes the metal of your character malleable. The conscious choice to take action despite the discomfort is the hammer blow. Striking cold iron does nothing. It is the combination of the fire of challenge and the hammer of willed action that purges the impurities and tempers the steel. At first, the process is difficult. The iron is stubborn. But with each cycle of heating and striking, it becomes stronger, harder, and more beautifully formed. You are not being punished. You are being forged. We often believe that discipline is the enemy of freedom. This is a profound illusion. A lack of discipline does not make you free. It makes you a slave. You are a slave to your moods, a slave to your appetites, a slave to your lethargy, a slave to the algorithm on your phone. You are not the one choosing your actions. Your unexamined impulses are. This is not freedom. It is a comfortable prison. True discipline creates freedom. The discipline to manage your time, creates the freedom to pursue your passions. The discipline to care for your body creates the freedom of health, energy, and vitality. The discipline to control your attention creates the freedom to choose your own thoughts and therefore your own reality. Discipline is the key that unlocks the door of the prison of your own conditioning. How do we begin this forging process? We do not begin by attempting some heroic, unsustainable feat of willpower. That is the way of the ego, which loves grand gestures destined for failure. We begin with the soul's path, the small, consistent, humble act of devotion. You will choose one small, constructive act, and you will commit to doing it every single day for 1 week. The act itself should be almost laughably simple. Meditate for 5 minutes. Do not commit to 30. Read 3 pages of a book. Do not commit to a chapter. Write 100 words. Do not commit to a novel. Go for a 10-minute walk. The specific act is less important than the unwavering commitment to it. The goal, in the beginning, is not the result of the act itself, but the forging of the will that comes from the act of keeping a promise to yourself. Each day that you perform your chosen act, you are forging a single link in a chain. On day 1, you have 1 link. It feels insignificant. On day 2, you connect another. By the end of the week, you are holding a chain of 7 links. It has substance. It has weight. Now, on day 8, the thought of not doing the act, of breaking the chain, becomes more painful than the small discomfort of doing the act itself. This is how you build momentum. This is how you literally rewire your brain, creating new neural pathways that favor conscious choice over reactive habit. You are teaching your entire being a new way to live. You are the blacksmith of your own character. Every day, you have the privilege of stepping up to the forge. The resistance you feel is not a stop sign. It is the fire inviting you to begin the work. The choice to act is the hammer. Each blow, no matter how small, strengthens and refines the blade of your will. Do not resent the heat. Do not curse the effort. Know that this is the sacred process of self-creation. You are transforming the raw material of your potential into the tempered steel of your reality. With this newly forged will, this sharpened and reliable tool, you are no longer merely a passive observer of your own mind. You are no longer tossed about by the winds of impulse and the currents of old programming. You have cultivated the inner strength and stability required for the next great work. You now possess the power not just to see through the stories that your ego tells you, but to consciously and deliberately begin to write a new one. With the fire of discipline as your pen, you can start to rewrite the inner script of your life, replacing the old, limiting narratives with a story worthy of your true self. Having forged a new strength of will through the fire of discipline, you now possess a tool of immense power. It is the sharpened blade of your own intention. With this tool, we can now undertake one of the most profound and creative acts possible for a human being. We move beyond simply observing our inner world to consciously reshaping it. We will now learn to become the writer of our own inner script. For your life, as you experience it, is not a random series of events. It is the playing out, on the stage of the world, of a story that is being continuously broadcast from the depths of your own subconscious mind. Think of your mind as being comprised of 2 parts. The conscious mind, which is the part you are aware of right now, the thinker, the analyzer, and the subconscious mind, a vast, powerful, and deep intelligence that operates beneath the surface. The conscious mind is the gardener, the subconscious mind is the garden. The garden itself is incredibly fertile, but it is not discerning. It will grow whatever seeds are planted in it, without judgment. It cannot tell the difference between a weed and a flower. It simply nurtures whatever it is given. For most of your life, you have not been a conscious gardener. The seeds planted in your subconscious soil were sown long ago, by others. In your earliest years, from birth to roughly the age of 7, Your brain operated primarily in a theta wave state of high receptivity, almost like hypnosis. You were a sponge, absorbing the world around you directly into the fertile soil of your subconscious. You absorbed the beliefs of your caregivers about your worthiness. You absorbed their attitudes about money, about relationships, about the nature of the world. The spoken and unspoken messages of your environment became your foundational programming, your inner script. If you were consistently told you were clever, that became a line in your script. If you were made to feel that you were a burden, that became a line in your script. These early beliefs were not analyzed or questioned. They were accepted as absolute truth. They became the invisible operating system that runs your life to this day. This is why you may consciously desire success, yet find yourself unconsciously sabotaging opportunities. Your conscious mind wants one thing, but your subconscious script, perhaps one that says, "I don't deserve to succeed," is running the show. This creates a deep and frustrating inner conflict. As a conscious adult, you desire change. You want to be more confident, more peaceful, more loving. You attempt to plant a new seed. You say to yourself, "I am worthy of love." But the garden of your mind is already overrun with the thick, established weeds of the old programming. The old script immediately begins to play its familiar lines. "No, you're not. Remember that time you were rejected? Remember that mistake you made? Who are you trying to fool?" The single, tender seedling of your new belief is surrounded by a lifetime of reinforced negative conditioning. The old script has the power of decades of repetition and deep emotional imprinting. The new affirmation feels weak, foreign, and sometimes like a lie. This is the battle for belief, waged in the quiet theater of your own mind. It is the conscious desire for a new reality, fighting against the powerful inertia of the past. Here is the core message that will give you the power to win this battle. While you did not write the original script, you, as a conscious being with a forged will, now have the power to write a new one. You are the scriptwriter now. You cannot go back and erase the old pages, and trying to do so is a waste of energy. But you can begin a new chapter, right here, right now. You can write a new story so compelling, so vibrant and so powerful that the old one begins to fade into the background, losing its emotional charge and its power over you. The pen you will use to write this new story is the practice of conscious affirmation. But an affirmation is not simply the rote repetition of positive words. That is like scattering seeds on concrete. To truly change the script, you must plant the seeds in the fertile soil of the subconscious, and that soil is accessed through the language it understands best, the language of feeling. The secret to rewriting your inner script is to generate the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Your subconscious mind does not respond to the words themselves, but to the emotion, the vibrational signature behind the words. When you declare your new truth, you must allow yourself to feel what it would be like if it were already so. This is the act of creation. This is you, the conscious gardener, not just planting a seed, but enriching the soil around it with the potent fertilizer of emotion. Let us make this practical. You will now craft your own affirmation. It must be personal, positive, in the present tense, and it must stir something within you. An effective affirmation is a statement of being, not wanting. Instead of, "I will be more confident," which implies a future lack, you will declare, "I am a powerful and confident presence in my world." Instead of, "I want to be free from anxiety," which focuses on the thing you don't want, you will affirm, "I move through my day with a sense of deep peace and ease." Write it down, say it aloud. Feel how the words land in your body. Adjust them until they feel both expansive and true on some deeper level. Now, you will create a ritual. The morning, just upon waking, and the evening, just before sleeping, are the most potent times for this work, as the veil between the conscious and subconscious minds is at its thinnest. Find a quiet moment. Take a few deep breaths. Then state your affirmation, either aloud or silently. This is the act of dropping the seed. Now comes the most important part, the embodiment. Close your eyes and for 1 or 2 minutes, marinate in the feeling of your affirmation being your current reality. If your affirmation is, "I am worthy of profound joy and love," what does that feel like? Don't just think about it. Generate the feeling. Does it feel like a warmth in your chest? A sense of lightness? A quiet, smiling confidence? Inhabit that state. Feel it in every cell of your body. Imagine yourself moving through your day from this state of being. You are not pretending. You are rehearsing your future self into existence. You are giving your subconscious mind a new blueprint, a new script to follow. The garden of your mind has been untended for a long time. The weeds of doubt, fear, and unworthiness are dense. Do not be discouraged. A wise gardener does not try to rip out all the weeds in one day. That would be overwhelming. Instead, you choose one small, clear patch of ground. You lovingly prepare the soil. You plant your new flower, your conscious affirmation, and then you tend to it every single day. You water it with your focused attention. You nourish it with your belief and your feeling. You protect it from the encroaching weeds of the old script by gently returning your focus to the flower you are choosing to grow. Over time, as this flower becomes stronger, its roots will spread. It will begin to change the very nature of the soil around it. As you continue to plant more flowers, a slow, beautiful transformation occurs. The garden, once a tangled mess of weeds, begins to blossom. You change your inner world not by fighting the old, but by diligently and lovingly cultivating the new. This conscious authorship of your inner script is a profound act of power. You are shifting from being a character, unconsciously acting out a pre-written drama, to being the playwright, consciously choosing the themes, the dialogue, and the direction of your own story. This new inner state, this new script you are writing, does not remain a secret within you. It changes the very energy you are made of. It alters the frequency you broadcast into the world. You are, quite literally, changing your personal vibration. And this leads us to the next fascinating stage of our journey, understanding how the universe itself acts as a perfect mirror, reflecting back to you the undeniable truth of the story you are telling within. Having begun the sacred work of rewriting your inner script, you have engaged in an act of profound creative power. You are no longer a passive actor reading lines written by your past, but the conscious author of your inner reality. Now, we must explore a truth that is both exhilarating and deeply challenging. Your inner world of thought, belief, and feeling is not a private, isolated space. It is a powerful transmitter, constantly broadcasting a signal, a frequency that shapes the very fabric of the reality you experience. The universe is not a separate entity acting upon you. The universe is a perfect, holographic mirror, flawlessly reflecting back to you the truth of who you are being. This concept may seem radical, as we have been conditioned to see the world as a solid, objective place that happens to us. But at the most fundamental level, the level explored by both ancient mystics and modern quantum physicists, everything is energy. Everything is vibration. The chair you are sitting on, the air you are breathing, the thoughts you are thinking, it is all just energy vibrating at different frequencies. Your dominant beliefs, your most common emotional states, and the inner script you are constantly playing. This combination creates your personal energetic signature, your vibrational frequency. This frequency is the signal you are broadcasting, day in and day out. The law of resonance, often called the law of attraction, is not a magical trick for getting what you want. It is a fundamental law of physics, as impersonal as gravity. just as a tuning fork will cause another tuning fork of the same frequency to vibrate in sympathy. Your personal frequency will unerringly attract people, circumstances, and experiences that resonate with it. Like attracts like. Your life is a physical printout of your dominant state of being. This understanding initiates a monumental shift from a mindset of doing to a mindset of being. We are taught that to change our lives, we must struggle, strive, and force things to happen through sheer effort. While inspired action is a necessary part of creation, the state of being from which you act is infinitely more important. Two people can perform the exact same actions to build a business. One, operating from a frequency of lack, fear, and desperation, broadcasts a signal of neediness that repels opportunities and creates struggle. The other, operating from a frequency of confidence, service, and assumed success, broadcasts a signal of abundance that attracts ideal clients and synchronistic events. The actions may be the same, but the energetic source is different, and so the reflection in the mirror of the universe is different. This brings you to a great crossroads of perception, the inner conflict between the victim and the creator. The victim stance is the default setting for the human ego. It is the belief that life is happening to me. My boss is the problem, the economy is against me, I have bad luck, my past has ruined me. In this reality, the outer world is the cause, and your inner state is the effect. You feel powerless, buffeted by the winds of circumstance, your happiness dependent on external events aligning perfectly. This stance, while providing the ego with the comfort of having someone or something to blame, is a state of complete powerlessness. The creator stance is the perspective of the awakened soul. It is the understanding that life is happening through me and as me. My inner state is the cause, and the outer world is the effect. My reality is a feedback loop. This is at first a terrifying responsibility. It means there is no one to blame. It means you can no longer find solace in your grievances. But contained within this immense responsibility is the ultimate power, the power to change your entire life by changing yourself. Here is the core message, the principle that unlocks this power. The universe does not give you what you want, it gives you what you are. Imagine you are standing in front of a large, perfectly polished mirror. If you see a frowning face in the reflection, what can you do? You can beg the reflection to smile, but it will not. You can yell at it, get angry at it, try to physically manipulate the mirror itself, but the reflection will continue to frown. The only possible way to see a smile in the mirror is for you to smile first. The outer world is this mirror, trying to change other people, trying to force your circumstances to be different, trying to control the uncontrollable. This is the futile, exhausting work of trying to change the reflection. The only true and effective work is inner work. You must become, in your inner being, the person you wish to be. You must generate the state of being you wish to experience, and the mirror of the world must, by law, reflect it back to you. How then do we generate this new state of being, especially when our current reality seems to contradict it? We use the power of our creative imagination, the same power that writes our inner scripts. We practice the art of feeling the wish fulfilled. This is not about wishful thinking or pretending. It is about consciously choosing and embodying a new vibrational state. First, get clear on your desire, but go beyond the surface object. You may desire a new home, but the feeling you are truly seeking is security, peace, and a sense of belonging. You may desire a loving partner, but the feeling you are after is connection, joy, and being truly seen. Focus on the feeling, for the feeling is the frequency. Then, in a quiet, relaxed state, perhaps in meditation, or just before you fall asleep, you will perform a sacred act of imagination. Do not picture your desire as something far off in the future that you are longing for. That only reinforces the frequency of not having. Instead, you will imagine that it is already a fact. You are already living in that peaceful home. You are already in that loving partnership. And from that imagined reality, you will ask yourself one question: how would I feel? Then you let the feeling come. Feel the relief, feel the joy, feel the gratitude, feel the deep sense of peace. Let this feeling saturate your entire body, marinate in it. Let it become more real to you than your current physical reality. By doing this, you are turning the dial of your own transmitter. You are ceasing to broadcast the frequency of lack and starting to broadcast the frequency of fulfillment. You are smiling at the mirror. Your being is a radio transmitter. Your dominant state of consciousness is the frequency you are tuned to. If you are tuned to the frequency of anxiety, complaint, and lack, you will only pick up programs that match it. The universe, a vast broadcasting station, is playing all possible realities on all possible channels, all at once. The channel of struggle and the channel of grace are both being broadcast right now. You cannot plead with the radio to play a different song. You must yourself change the station. The practice of assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled is the conscious act of turning the dial. You are deliberately attuning your personal receiver to a different, more harmonious broadcast. As you change your frequency, the people, ideas, and opportunities that resonate with that new frequency will begin to appear in your life, seemingly by magic, but really by law. This is the shift from being a pawn of fate to being a conscious creator. Your experiences are not random, they are resonant. The universe is not punishing or rewarding you, it is simply matching your frequency. It is a loving, impersonal mirror that constantly gives you the opportunity to see yourself more clearly. If you do not like the reflection you are seeing in your life, do not waste a single moment of your precious energy trying to fix the mirror. Turn your attention inward and know that one of the most simple, direct, and powerful ways to instantly begin broadcasting a higher, clearer signalto, immediately start smiling at the mirror, is to immerse yourself in the profound, reality-altering power of gratitude. As you stand before the great mirror of the universe, beginning to understand that it reflects your own inner state, you may ask a simple, powerful question: how do I change my reflection? How do I begin to broadcast a higher, clearer, more beautiful frequency? While there are many practices, there is one that serves as the master key, the universal solvent for the ego's state of lack. It is the simple, profound, and reality-altering practice of gratitude. Your mind, by its very nature and evolutionary design, is a masterful problem finder. It has what psychologists call a negativity bias. For the survival of our ancient ancestors, it was far more important to notice the one tiger in the bushes than the 99 beautiful flowers surrounding it. This ancient programming is still running in your mind today. It scans your life, your body, and your world, not for what is right, but for what is wrong. It focuses on the one unpaid bill, not the 99 that were paid. It fixates on the one critical comment, not the 99 compliments. It is constantly looking for the tiger. This creates a baseline state of anxiety, dissatisfaction, and a pervasive feeling of not enough. We live in the gap between where we are and where our minds tell us we should be. Gratitude is the conscious, deliberate act of rebellion against this programming. It is the training of your attention, the sacred discipline of turning your focus away from the single tiger and toward the abundant field of flowers that is always present. This creates a subtle but potent inner conflict. The habit of complaint is a comfortable one. It is a form of negative bonding. We gather with others and find connection in our shared grievances about the weather, the government, our jobs. Complaining reinforces the ego's sense of being a righteous victim. It can feel, in a strange way, productive. To practice gratitude, on the other hand, can at first feel artificial. When faced with genuine life challenges, the mind will protest. How can I be grateful for the roof over my head when I'm worried about losing my job? It can feel like you are ignoring your problems, engaging in a form of spiritual denial. But this is a misunderstanding of the practice. Gratitude does not deny the existence of the tiger. It simply refuses to give the tiger 100% of your attention. It acknowledges that both the tiger and the flowers exist simultaneously, and that you have the power to choose where you will place the spotlight of your consciousness. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. To focus on the problem is to energize the problem. To focus on the blessing is to energize the blessing. Here is the core message that will shift your entire reality. Gratitude is not merely a polite emotion or a positive thinking exercise. It is the very currency of an abundant universe. It is an energetic declaration. When you are in a state of genuine gratitude, you are broadcasting a powerful signal to the mirror of reality. That signal says, I have enough. I am cared for. I am supported. I am already blessed. This is the vibrational signature of abundance. And since the universe operates on the law of resonance, attracts like a state of abundance, can only attract more experiences to be abundant about. You cannot feel genuinely, deeply grateful and feel a sense of lack at the exact same time. The two feelings are mutually exclusive frequencies. Therefore, gratitude is the most direct and powerful antidote to the ego's perpetual state of lack. It is the master key that unlocks the door to a more grace-filled reality. We can anchor this spiritual principle in a simple, tangible practice. We will create a gratitude jar. A physical act can ground an abstract intention, making it real and potent. Find a simple jar, a box, or any container. Place it somewhere you will see it every day. Each evening, before you sleep, you will perform a small ritual. You will take a small slip of paper, and you will write down one specific thing from your day for which you are truly grateful. The key here is specificity. Avoid grand, generic statements like, I'm grateful for my life. Instead, find a precise, tangible moment. I am grateful for the profound flavor of my first cup of coffee this morning. I am grateful for the 5 minutes of quiet I had in my car before walking into the office. I am grateful for the way the sunlight created a pattern on my wall this afternoon. I am grateful for the comforting warmth of my blanket. Write it down. Take a moment to relive the feeling of that small moment of grace. Fold the paper and place it in the jar. This practice is a form of alchemy. Each day, you are consciously choosing to transmute a simple moment into a recorded blessing. At first, the jar will seem empty, but day by day, it will begin to fill. After a month, you will have 30 acknowledgements of goodness. After a year, you will have 365. On days when you are struggling, when your mind insists that your life is barren, that there is nothing to be thankful for, you will have this physical testament to the contrary. You can reach into the jar and pull out a random memory, a reminder of a moment of peace, a small pleasure, a kindness received. The jar becomes an undeniable anchor to the truth of the abundance that is already woven into the fabric of your daily life. It is your physical proof that you are, and always have been, provided for. Let us think of the mind focused on lack as a leaky bucket. Life can pour countless blessings into a healthy body, loving friends, a beautiful sunset, a nourishing meal. But the blessings immediately drain away through the holes of worry, comparison, and the relentless focus on what is missing. No matter how much is poured in, the bucket never feels full. Each conscious act of gratitude is the act of patching one of those holes. When you take a moment to feel true, deep gratitude for the simple fact that your lungs are breathing for you without any effort on your part, you patch the hole of worrying about your health. When you feel gratitude for a kind word from a friend, you patch the hole of loneliness. As you diligently patch the leaks, day by day, the bucket begins to hold water. it begins to fill. You start to cultivate a baseline feeling of enoughness, of fullness, that is not dependent on acquiring anything new. You shift your entire being from a state of seeking to a state of appreciation. And from this state of fullness, the universe can only reflect more fullness back to you. Gratitude, then, is the ultimate reality shifter. It rewires the neural pathways in your brain. It changes your emotional set point. It alters your vibrational frequency. It is the most elegant and effortless way to align yourself with the flow of universal abundance. When you cultivate this profound sense of being cared for and whole, a new sense of security dawns within you. You are no longer desperately clinging to people, to jobs, to situations out of a fear of lack. You know, on a deep, cellular level, that you are okay. From this newfound place of inner wealth and security, you are granted the wisdom and the courage to look at your life with clear eyes. You can now see what is truly nourishing you and what is simply taking up space. And you can begin the graceful, necessary process of letting go of everything that no longer serves your highest good, not from a place of fear, but from a place of love. Having filled your inner well with the living water of gratitude, you begin to operate from a state of fullness rather than lack. This newfound security is the firm ground upon which you can now perform one of the most liberating acts on the spiritual path, the art of letting go. Your life is like a beautiful tree, and for it to grow tall and strong, it must be pruned. Dead branches must be cut away to make room for new, vibrant growth. We will now learn how to become a wise and loving pruner of our own lives, releasing that which no longer serves us, not with violence or anger, but with grace. Let us be honest about why we cling. We hold on to jobs that deaden our souls, relationships that have become toxic, beliefs that limit our potential, and old identities that no longer fit. We do this not because we love them, but because we fear the empty space they would leave behind. The human ego, the great storyteller of the mind, would rather cling to a familiar misery than face the terrifying uncertainty of the void. A dead-end job, for all its pain, provides a title, a routine, an identity. A toxic relationship provides a role to play, a drama to engage in. These things, as heavy as they are, feel like something solid to hold on to in the vastness of existence. To let them go feels like letting go of a piece of ourselves. The mind asks, with genuine panic, if I am not this job title, who am I? If I am not this person's partner, what will I be? If I give up this old dream, what will I have left? The fear is not of the new, but of the temporary emptiness, the fertile void that lies between the old and the new. We also cling because of a misguided sense of investment. We think of the years, the energy, the emotion we have poured into a situation, and leaving feels like admitting that all that effort was a waste. This is the sunk cost fallacy, a trick of the mind that keeps us shackled to our past decisions. To justify the suffering we have already endured, we choose to endure more. We are loyal to a past version of ourselves who made a choice, rather than being loyal to the present version of ourselves who is yearning for freedom. This creates a painful state of limbo. You are not happy where you are, but you are too afraid to leave. You are a trapeze artist, holding tightly to one bar, unable to swing to the next, because you refuse to release your grip. You are not moving forward. You are just stuck, suspended in the air, your strength slowly draining away. Here is the core message that will give you the courage to open your hand. Letting go is not an act of failure or loss. It is a profound act of faith. It is a declaration of trust in the process of life itself. It is faith in your own resilience, a deep knowing that you have the strength to handle whatever comes next. And it is faith in the universe, an understanding that life abhors a vacuum. When you consciously create an empty space in your life by releasing what is old and heavy, you are sending a powerful signal. You are creating a sacred emptiness, an invitation for something new and more aligned to flow in. You are not losing something, you are making room. You are clearing the field so that new and more beautiful seeds can be planted. Letting go is one of the most powerful creative acts you can engage in. To help you with this energetic release, we can use a powerful symbolic practice. It is a ritual for cutting the energetic cords that bind you to the past. Find a quiet time and space where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and bring to mind the person, the situation, the job, the belief, or the habit that you are ready to release. Allow yourself to feel your connection to it. Then, visualize energetic cords, like ropes or strands of light, extending from your body and connecting you to this other person or situation. See them and feel them clearly. Now, as an act of conscious closure, speak to this entity, either silently or aloud. Thank you for the role you have played in my journey. Thank you for all the lessons you have taught me, both the easy and the hard. Our time together is now complete. I release you with love and gratitude. It is essential to release with grace, not with anger. Resentment keeps the cord attached. Gratitude dissolves it. Next, imagine in your hand a powerful tool of light, a pair of gleaming golden scissors, a sharp sword of light, whatever feels powerful to you. With a clear and firm intention, see yourself severing each cord. Make a sound as you do it if you wish. See and feel the cords breaking, snapping back, and dissolving into light. Watch as the other person or situation peacefully drifts away. Then, bring your attention back to your own body. See the places where the cords were attached now glowing with your own light, sealing over, whole and complete. Place your hands on your heart and affirm, I am free. I am whole. I reclaim all of my energy now. Think of your life as a great climb up a mountain toward your highest potential. Along the path, you have been picking up rocks and placing them in a backpack you carry. Each rock represents something you are clinging to. A rock of old resentment, a rock of a relationship that has run its course, a rock of a limiting belief about yourself, a rock of a job that drains your soul. At the beginning of the climb, the backpack was light, but as the years have gone on, it has become heavier and heavier. The climb has become a joyless, exhausting struggle. You are so focused on the immense weight on your back that you can no longer see the beauty of the view around you. You have forgotten why you even started climbing. Letting go is the simple, courageous act of stopping for a moment, shrugging the heavy backpack off your shoulders and opening it up. You take out each rock, one by one. You look at it. You feel its weight. You acknowledge the lesson it represents. You thank it for its role in your journey. And then, with conscious intention, you set it down on the side of the path and you leave it there. The relief is immediate. The lightness is exhilarating. A surge of new energy flows through you. Now, with your back straight and your spirit light, you can turn your face toward the summit and continue the climb not as a struggle, but as a joyous ascent. This process of letting go is the essential clearing that must precede new creation. You cannot paint a new masterpiece on a canvas that is already cluttered with an old, faded painting. You must have a clean slate. When you release the old, you create a beautiful, potent, and sacred emptiness in your life. This space is not to be feared. It is pregnant with infinite possibility. It is a cleared field, waiting for the conscious gardener to arrive with new seeds. This new space within you and around you calls out for a new intention. It asks the profound and exciting question, now that I am no longer defined by what I was carrying, what do I choose to build? Now that my hands are empty, what do I choose to create? You are now ready to step fully into the role of the artist, the architect, the sculptor of your own life. As the dust settles from the courageous act of letting go, you find yourself standing in a new kind of space. It is a space of quiet potential, a sacred emptiness you have cleared with your own hands. The heavy backpack of the past is no longer on your shoulders. The old restrictive narratives have been silenced. For the first time, perhaps in your entire life, you are truly free to choose what comes next. This is the moment where the journey shifts from healing to creation. You are now invited to step out of the role of the archaeologist, uncovering the past, and into the role of the architect, designing the future. You will now learn to consciously create your life with intention. For too long, we have lived with a passive orientation to our own lives. We have been conditioned to believe that life is something that happens to us. We wait for opportunity to knock. We wait for inspiration to strike. We wait for someone to discover us, to choose us, to give us permission to live our dreams. We see ourselves as the stone and the world as the sculptor, chipping away at us, shaping us through random, often painful blows of fate. Today, we shatter that illusion. You are not merely the stone, you are also the sculptor. You are the raw material, a block of marble containing infinite potential. And you are the artist, holding the chisel and the mallet, possessing the vision to bring a unique and beautiful form into existence. Your life is not meant to be a passive experience. It is meant to be a masterpiece of your own making. To engage in this work, we must understand the profound power of intention. An intention is different from a goal. A goal is a destination, an external target to be achieved in the future. I want to earn a certain amount of money. I want to get a promotion. Goals are useful for direction, but they can keep us living in a state of future-oriented lack. An intention, however, is a quality of being that you choose to embody in the present moment. It is a statement of how you choose to show up, right here, right now. My intention is to embody abundance and generosity. My intention is to bring integrity and excellence to all my work. A goal is what you want to get. An intention is who you choose to be. When your state of being is aligned with a powerful intention, the goals that match that intention are drawn to you with far less struggle. Setting a clear intention is like tuning a powerful radio receiver. Your mind, and the universe itself, begins to organize around that intention. Within your brain is a network of neurons called the reticular activating system. It acts as a filter for your consciousness. There are millions of bits of data bombarding your senses every second, and your brain must filter out most of it so you are not overwhelmed. It is your intention that programs this filter. If you set a clear intention to find more opportunities for peaceful connection in your life, your brain will suddenly start noticing the quiet person at work you never saw before, the local meditation group you overlooked, the moments of stillness you previously ignored. The opportunities were always there. Your intention made you conscious of them. Energetically, a clear intention acts as a focused beam of light, a coherent frequency that you broadcast into the universal mirror, calling forth the people, resources, and synchronicities that resonate with it. This shift from passive waiting to active intending creates a profound inner conflict. The passive self, the ego self, is comfortable. It requires no risk. If you never declare what you intend to create, you can never be accused of failing. It is safer to remain a critic in the audience of life than to step onto the stage and risk a flawed performance. The ego is terrified of this creative responsibility. It will whisper, "Who are you to create? What if you try and it doesn't work?" It's better not to want anything, then you can't be disappointed. Against this voice of fear is the undeniable deep impulse of your soul. Your soul did not come here to be a spectator. It came here to experience, to express, to grow, and to create. It yearns to leave its unique, energetic signature on the world. The conflict is between the comfort of remaining an uncarved block of stone and the soul's deep, driving desire to become the statue it was always meant to be. Here is the core message that will empower you to pick up your tools. You are right now, in this very moment, creating your life. There is no neutral position. Every thought you think, every choice you make, Every action you take is a strike of the chisel against the stone. The only question is whether you are chipping away aimlessly, driven by unconscious habits and external pressures, or if you are carving with conscious, deliberate intention. A life without intention is a ship without a rudder, adrift on the vast ocean of existence. It is pushed and pulled by the winds of other people's opinions and the currents of circumstance. It may, by chance, drift to a pleasant shore, or it may smash against the rocks. It has no power of its own. Your intention is the rudder. With a clear intention, you can harness the very same winds and currents to steer your vessel toward the destination you have consciously chosen. You become the captain of your ship, the master of your voyage. We will begin this practice of conscious creation with a simple, potent daily ritual. Each morning, before you reach for your phone, before the demands of the world rush in, grant yourself 5 minutes of sacred silence. In this space, you will set your intention for the day. This is not a to-do list. This is a declaration of the quality of being you will embody. You can ask yourself, what energy do I choose to bring into my world today? Perhaps the answer is, today, my intention is to be a force for calm. Or, my intention is to listen with my full attention. My intention is to meet every challenge with creativity and resilience. My intention is to be unapologetically authentic. Choose one, write it down if it helps. Feel it in your body. This act sets the energetic theme for your day. It gives your subconscious mind its creative assignment. Then, as you move through your day, you can use this intention as your compass. When faced with a choice or a difficult moment, you can pause and ask, what action would be in alignment with my intention to be calm? You are no longer just reacting to life. You are consciously creating your responses and, therefore, your experience. You are the sculptor, and the stone is your own life. Your vision is your intention. Your thoughts are the preliminary sketches you make. Your emotions are the passion that fuels the work. Your choices are the sharp edge of the chisel. Your daily actions are the steady, deliberate blows of the mallet. Some days, you may only have the energy to chip away a tiny flake. Other days, you may carve away great chunks. The size of the action is less important than its consistency and its alignment with your vision. Do not judge your work. Do not compare your statue to anyone else's. Simply show up at the quarry of your life each day, pick up your tools, and make your mark. As you engage in this sacred process, you are no longer just a collection of past experiences. You are a living, breathing work of art, constantly in a state of becoming. You are taking the raw, liberated energy from your shadow work, the focused power from your discipline, and the clear space from letting go, and you are channeling it all into a purpose of your own choosing. But the wise sculptor knows that they are not the only force at play. A master sculptor does not just impose their will upon the stone. They listen to the stone. They work with its grain, its unique qualities, its inherent nature. A master captain does not fight the sea. They learn its rhythms and work in harmony with them. True mastery is a delicate and beautiful dance between doing and being, between personal intention and a graceful surrender to the greater flow of the universe. It is this paradox we must now explore. As you stand in the quarry of your life, the role of the sculptor firmly in your grasp, you have learned to wield the tools of intention and discipline. You have chosen a vision for your masterpiece and have begun the diligent work of carving it into reality. But here, at this crucial stage of creation, we must introduce a profound paradox, a sacred secret known to all master artists. The greatest act of control is to learn when to let go. True creation is a delicate dance between deliberate action and graceful surrender. It is the wisdom of knowing when to strike the stone and when to step back and trust the flow. The word surrender has been deeply misunderstood by the egoic mind. The ego hears surrender and thinks of defeat, of giving up, of waving a white flag in failure. This is the surrender of a soldier on a battlefield. The surrender we speak of now is the surrender of a master surfer to the wave. The surfer does not control the ocean. They do not command the wave to rise. To fight the wave is to be crushed by it. Instead, the surfer studies the ocean's rhythm, chooses their wave with intention, and then, at the crucial moment, they surrender their personal will to the immense power of the wave, using their skill not to fight it, but to dance with it. This is active, intelligent, joyful surrender. It is not weakness. It is the highest form of alignment with a power greater than oneself. The ego believes it is the sole intelligence in charge of your life. It operates under the grand illusion that through sheer force of will, meticulous planning, and constant worry, it can control every outcome. This is the source of all striving, all stress, all anxiety. It is the belief that you must single-handedly manage the entire universe. Surrender is the recognition of a profound truth. You are not the only intelligence at work here. There is a vast, creative, organizing intelligence woven into the fabric of life itself. Call it the universe, call it the Tao, call it God, call it your higher self. The name does not matter. Surrender is the act of acknowledging this greater wisdom and choosing to partner with it rather than compete with it. This brings us to the inner conflict between attachment and trust. When we set an intention, our minds immediately create a rigid blueprint of exactly how and when it must manifest. We become attached not only to the destination, but to the specific, narrow path we have mapped out to get there. Any deviation from our plan, a delay, an unexpected obstacle, a different opportunities met with fear and resistance. We try to force reality back onto our predetermined track. This is the energy of attachment. It is tight, grasping, and anxious. Trust, on the other hand, is the willingness to be committed to the destination but flexible about the path. It is the deep, quiet knowing that the universe may have a more scenic, more efficient, or more beautiful route in mind for you than the one your limited mind could conceive. The conflict is between the ego's need to control the how and the soul's wisdom in surrendering the how to a higher power. Here is the core message that will set you free. True co-creation is a sacred division of labor between you and the universe. Your responsibility is the what and the why. You must get clear on what you choose to create and why it is important to you. Your job is to set the intention, to align your inner script and your vibrational state with that reality, and to take the inspired, disciplined action that presents itself to you. Having done your part with integrity and diligence, you must then release the how and the when to your creative partner, the universe. You must trust the process. You must let go of the outcome. To cling to a specific outcome is to tell the infinite intelligence of the universe, "Thank you, but I know better." It is to close your fists around one possibility, rendering you unable to receive the 1,000 other, perhaps greater, possibilities that are trying to reach you. To practice this art of sacred surrender, you can use a simple but profoundly effective mantra. After you have set your intention, after you have done your visualization, after you have completed your work for the day, you will consciously and lovingly release your attachment by adding the phrase, "This or something better." I am creating a life of vibrant health and boundless energy. This or something better. I am attracting a deeply fulfilling and loving partnership. This or something better. I am building a thriving business that serves the world. This or something better. This phrase is a bridge between personal will and universal wisdom. It honors your desire while simultaneously acknowledging that there may be a grander plan. It transforms the energy of your request from a demanding grasp into an open-handed offering. It replaces the anxiety of, "Will I get what I want?" with the peaceful curiosity of, "I wonder what beautiful form this will take." Let us imagine your intention is a seed. As the gardener, it is your job to choose the seed carefully. It is your job to prepare the soil of your inner being, clearing it of the weeds of doubt. It is your job to plant the seed with a clear intention and to water it daily with your focused attention and aligned action. This is the part of creation that belongs to you. Now, imagine a foolish gardener who, after planting the seed, digs it up every day to check if it has sprouted. Imagine them shouting at the soil, trying to force the seed to grow on their schedule. We recognize this as insanity. The seed has its own inherent intelligence. The universe has its own perfect timing. The wise gardener, having done their part, steps back and trusts the process. They trust in the unseen miracle happening in the darkness of the earth. They know that their job is to tend the garden, but the growth itself comes from a power beyond them. This is surrender. It is faith in the unseen, a deep trust in the organic, intelligent unfolding of life. This dance between doing and allowing, between intention and surrender, dissolves the illusion of you against the world. You are not a solitary actor trying to impose your will on an indifferent reality. You are a co-creator, a dance partner with life itself. Sometimes you lead with a clear and decisive action. Sometimes you follow, gracefully responding to the unexpected turns and dips of the music. You learn to listen, to feel the rhythm, to trust your partner. You stop trying to control the whole dance floor and instead focus on the perfection of your own next step. When you live in this state of active intention and graceful surrender, you cease to be a rigid, separate entity, and you begin to feel yourself as part of a larger flow. The rigid distinction between my actions and the universe's response begins to blur. You start to see that they are not two separate things, but one unified, intelligent movement. You feel the intricate, invisible web that connects your inner state to your outer reality, your intention to its manifestation. You begin to sense, on a deep, intuitive level, your profound connection to everything that is. And you realize that you are not just a single drop of water in the ocean, but a unique and integral part of the entire, magnificent, interconnected whole. And so, in this profound act of surrender, you do not become empty, you become everything. The quiet trust you have cultivated, the release of control you have bravely practiced, does not lead you into a void. It leads you to the very heart of existence, to a truth so simple and so vast that the ego, with its walls and its labels, could never comprehend it. For too long, you have lived as a drop, believing yourself to be separate, finite, and vulnerable, a tiny speck of water bracing against the immense, indifferent ocean. You have defined yourself by your edges, by the surface tension that separates you from all the other drops. But the mystics and the physicists, the ancient sages and the quantum dreamers have all arrived at the same shore, whispering the same secret across the ages. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. The illusion of separation is the foundational myth of human suffering. It is the architect of loneliness, the blueprint of conflict, the source code of fear. It is the belief that you end where your skin begins, that your consciousness is a flicker of light trapped inside a skull, and that your fate is a solitary journey from birth to death. This feeling of being apart is what fuels the ache for validation, the hunger for accumulation, and the desperate need to be right. It is why we build empires and draw borders, why we create hierarchies of us versus them. The separate self is a self at war, constantly defending its tiny territory, constantly comparing its portion to others, constantly fearing its own extinguishment. But this self is a construct, a phantom, a story told with such conviction that you forgot you were the author. Now, in the stillness you have earned, in the clarity born from surrender, we can begin to gently dismantle this story. We can look closer, not with the analytical mind, but with the wisdom of the heart, and see the threads that weave us all together into a single, magnificent tapestry. Look at your hand. It seems solid, separate, but science tells us it is a whirling constellation of atoms, and the space between those atoms is vaster than the matter itself. And what are those atoms? They are forged in the hearts of stars that died billions of years ago. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon that forms your very DNA, all of it is stardust. You are not just living on the earth. You are the earth, experiencing itself as a human for a little while. You are not just breathing the air. You are the air, cycling through a temporary form. This is not poetry. It is the literal truth of our being. The universe is not something out there, a cold, distant expanse to be observed. It is an indivisible whole, and you are a focal point of its awareness. When you truly grasp this, the entire paradigm of your life begins to shift. The concept of self-love expands beyond the personal into the universal. To love yourself is to love the stardust within you. To love others is to recognize that same stardust in them. The line blurs, the animosity dissolves. How can you hold judgment against another when you realize you are judging a different expression of the same source energy? How can you harm another or harm the planet when you understand that you are inflicting a wound upon a different part of your own body? The pain you cause echoes back through the invisible web that connects all things. The compassion you show reverberates through that same web, amplifying and returning to you. For you and the recipient are not truly two, but one. This is the great web of interconnection. Imagine it, for a moment, as a vast and intricate spider's web, stretching across the entirety of space-time. Each junction point is a life, a consciousness, a planet, a star, an animal, a person. The threads are woven from light, from energy, from love. They are delicate yet unbreakable. When a single thread is touched, a vibration is sent across the entire structure. A kindness in one corner of the world causes a subtle yet real resonance in another. A cry of pain on one continent is felt on a deep, energetic level by the whole. You have felt this your entire life, though you may not have had the language for it. The sudden wave of sadness that had no cause, the inexplicable feeling of joy that seemed to come from nowhere, the sense of being connected to a stranger in a fleeting moment of eye contact. You were feeling the web. You were feeling the truth of your own boundless nature. The loneliness you have carried is not a result of being alone. It is a symptom of forgetting that you are connected to everything. The cure, then, is not to frantically seek companionship to fill a void, but to cultivate the inner knowing of this profound, unshakable belonging. Let this become your practice. This is the integration of the truth of oneness into your daily life. The practice is simple: see the self in others. The next time you are speaking with someone, a colleague at work, a cashier at the store, a loved one across the dinner table, go beyond the surface. Look past the role they are playing, the opinions they are expressing, the mask they are wearing. Look into their eyes and search for the light, the same fundamental awareness that is looking out from behind your own eyes. Listen to the words, but also listen to the spaces between them. What is the unspoken feeling? Is it a weariness you have also known? A flicker of hope you have also felt? A fear of being misunderstood that has also gripped your own heart? In that moment of shared recognition, the walls of separation dissolve. You are not two egos in a transactional exchange. You are 2 points of the universal consciousness, meeting to remind each other of home. Extend this practice to the natural world. When you see a tree, do not just see wood and leaves. See a living being, a silent teacher of resilience and rootedness. Feel its life force, so different in its expression from your own, yet born of the same terrestrial mother. When you feel the sun on your skin, know that you are in a direct, energetic relationship with a star 93 million miles away. a star whose fire is mirrored in the metabolic fire of your own cells. When you harm nature, you are not just destroying a resource. You are silencing a part of your own extended family. You are tearing a thread in the sacred web. When you walk with reverence, you align yourself with the rhythm of the whole. This is the ultimate meaning of karma. It is not a cosmic system of reward and punishment. It is the simple, elegant law of the web. What you send out along the threads is the very vibration that will define your own corner of reality. Send out judgment, and your world will feel harsh and critical. Send out anger, and your world will be filled with conflict. Send out love, and your world will soften, blossom, and reflect that love back to you from the most unexpected places. It is not a reward, it is a resonance. The path of self-love, which began as an intimate, internal journey into your own locked room, has now led you out into the open cosmos. It has broken down the door and the walls to reveal that your inner space is inseparable from outer space. The feeling of separation was the dream. This feeling of connection is the awakening. And from this awakened state, a new possibility emerges. If you are truly connected to everything, then your own state of being matters immensely. It is not a private affair. Your frequency, the energy you cultivate and radiate, is your contribution to the whole. It is your touch upon the great web. And so, the question is no longer just, how can I heal myself? But what frequency do I choose to become for the world? This is the foundation for the next step of our journey. It is the shift from being a passive recipient of the world's energies to becoming a conscious, active source of light. It is the moment you cease to be a ship lost in the storm and begin to realize you are, and always have been, the lighthouse. You stand at the edge of the great sea of existence, no longer a lost ship tossed on the waves, but as the lighthouse itself. This is the profound shift that occurs when you realize your fundamental connection to everything. The journey inward does not end with a quiet, private peace. It culminates in a radiant outward expression. Your purpose was never merely to navigate the darkness, but to become a source of light within it. To radiate your true frequency. This frequency is not something you must invent or strive for. It is the natural resonance of your soul once the debris has been cleared. It is the music that your being makes when it is no longer distorted by the static of fear, the weight of old wounds, and the demands of the persona. It is the unique, inimitable signature of your awareness, the energetic hum of your healed and integrated self. It is the sum of your silence, your compassion, your wisdom, and your truth. For a long time, you may have tried to match the frequency of others, to blend in, to be accepted. You turned your own volume down, afraid that your authentic sound would be too strange, too loud, too different. Now, you understand that your greatest gift to the web of life is your unique note. The symphony of the universe is incomplete without it. Yet, as you begin to feel this inner light grow brighter, a new and subtle form of resistance may appear. It is the fear of shining. It is the voice of the old programming that whispers, "Who are you to be so bright? Who are you to be so peaceful? Do not draw attention to yourself. It isn't safe. People will judge you. They will be envious. They will try to tear you down." This is the final protest of the ego, the shrinking of the shadow that fears the light. We are taught from a young age to play small, to fit in, to not make waves. To be a bright, burning light in a world often accustomed to the twilight can feel like a transgression. You may feel a pull to dim yourself down again, to retreat into the comfortable anonymity of the crowd. You may fear that your light will make others uncomfortable, that your peace will highlight their turmoil. Acknowledge this fear. See it for what it is, a ghost, an echo from a time when hiding was a survival strategy. Thank it for trying to protect you, and then lovingly, firmly choose a new way. Your purpose is not to be a small, flickering candle, cupped in your hands and shielded from the wind, always in danger of being extinguished. You are the lighthouse. A lighthouse does not apologize for its existence. It does not shrink from the storm. It is built on a bedrock of solid stone, the bedrock of the inner work you have done. Every wound you have tended, every shadow you have befriended, every boundary you have honored has been the quarrying of this stone. The foundation is deep and strong because you were brave enough to dig into the earth of your own being. The tower stands tall, an unapologetic declaration of presence. It does not concern itself with the opinions of the waves or the judgment of the wind. Its nature is simply to be, and from its peak, it sends out a beam of pure, unwavering light. Consider the nature of this light. It is not aggressive. The lighthouse does not shout at the ships. It does not fire its light like a weapon, trying to force vessels onto a different course. It does not chase them or demand their attention. It simply emanates. It offers illumination without condition. It rotates with a steady, predictable rhythm, its own unique frequency. It is a beacon of orientation, a point of reference in the vast, confusing darkness. It says to all who see it, "Here is a point of stability. Here is a light. You may use it to find your own way." This is the model for your new way of being. Your task is not to convince, convert, or change anyone. The world has enough preachers and proselytizers. What it desperately needs are lighthouses. It needs people who have done the work to find their own inner stability and who are willing to simply radiate it without agenda. Your peace, when radiated, gives others permission to find their own. Your authenticity, when expressed, creates a safe space for others to remove their masks. Your self-love, when embodied, silently teaches others that they too are worthy of love. You do not need to have the right words. Your presence becomes the message. Your frequency becomes the teaching. The most profound form of service you can offer the world is your own transformation. Do not fall into the trap of believing you must now go out and fix the world. The desire to fix is often the ego in disguise, seeking validation through its good deeds. Your only responsibility is to tend to your own light. Keep the lantern glass clean from the soot of new judgments. Keep the fuel of self-compassion topped up. Keep the foundation strong by continuing your practices of presence and connection. The radiation of the light is an automatic consequence of its existence. You do not need to try to shine, you just need to be. Those who are ready for your light will see it. The ships that are navigating the same waters, searching for the same kind of shore, will be drawn to your frequency. They will see your light on the horizon, and it will give them hope. It will help them orient themselves. Others may not see it. Some ships may be sailing for different shores and have no need of your specific light. Some may even resent your light because it illuminates things they would rather keep hidden in the dark. This is not your concern. A lighthouse does not worry about the ships that ignore it. It shines for the one ship that needs it. It shines because that is its nature. So, release the need for applause. Release the desire for everyone to understand you or approve of you. You are no longer seeking validation from the outside world. Your validation comes from the deep, inner alignment with your own soul. This becomes your daily living practice. In the morning, instead of only asking, "What do I need to do today?" you can also ask the deeper question, "What action today, however small, will allow my light to shine most authentically?" The answer may not be a grand gesture. It may be to listen to a friend without offering advice. It may be to take 15 minutes to sit in nature and feel your connection to the web of life. It may be to speak your truth in a difficult conversation, not with aggression, but with clarity and compassion. It may be to engage in a creative act that brings you joy, to write, to paint, to sing. These are not selfish acts. They are acts of tending to the light. When you do what makes your soul resonate with joy and truth, you are amplifying your frequency, and that is a gift to the entire world. Understand that becoming a lighthouse does not grant you immunity from the tempests of life. In fact, a lighthouse is built precisely for the storm. Its strength and purpose are meaningless in perpetually calm seas. The storms will still come. The winds of change will blow. The waves of loss will crash against your shores, and the skies of uncertainty will darken. But you will no longer be a fragile vessel at their mercy. You will be the unshakable tower, rooted in your own being. The storm may rage around you, it may test your resolve, but it cannot extinguish your inner light. Your foundation is now too deep. Your purpose is now too clear. The challenges of life are no longer seen as punishments or mistakes, but as opportunities to test the integrity of your structure, to prove the unwavering nature of your light. And in withstanding the storm, you learn the truth of your own resilience, the art of bending without breaking, a lesson taught not by stone, but by the ancient wisdom of the living world itself. The lighthouse has taught you how to stand, rooted in the bedrock of your own truth, shining your light into the darkness. It is a symbol of unwavering presence and purpose. But there is another kind of strength, a different form of wisdom that is required for this human journey. It is the strength not of stone, but of living wood. For the storms of life do not just require you to be a beacon, they demand that you learn how to endure them without shattering. And so, we turn from the shore to the forest to learn the great lesson of the oak tree, the lesson of resilience, the art of bending so that you do not break. For a long time, you may have held a secret wish for a life without storms, a spiritual path that led to a perpetually sunny meadow where no winds blow. This is a deeply human desire, a craving for safety and comfort, but it is a fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to grow. A tree planted in a windless biodome grows tall and weak, its trunk slender, its roots shallow. It has no need for strength, and so it develops none. It is the constant pressure of the wind, the challenging push and pull of the elements, that signals the tree to drive its roots deeper into the earth, to thicken its trunk, to build the inner fibrous strength that will allow it to stand for a century. Your soul is no different. The times of ease are pleasant, but it is in the times of challenge that your character is forged. Your resilience is not built when the sun is shining. It is built in the heart of the gale, when your foundations are tested and you are forced to access a strength you did not know you possessed. The modern world tells you to avoid discomfort at all costs, to seek a life of frictionless ease. But the path of self-love and deep inner work teaches the opposite. It teaches you to accept challenge, not as a punishment, but as a sacred form of training. It is life's invitation to grow deeper, to become more than you were yesterday. When the winds of adversity begin to blow in your life, a job loss, a heartbreak, a failure, a health crisis, the first reaction is often one of resistance. This should not be happening. This is wrong. Why me? This is the sound of a rigid branch, resisting the force of the wind. And what happens to the rigid branch? It snaps. Resilience is the wisdom of flexibility. It is the ability to yield to the irresistible force of reality without losing your center. Imagine the great oak in the tempest. The wind howls, a force of immense power. The oak does not try to fight the wind with brute force. It does not stand perfectly still and stoic. That is the path to ruin. Instead, it engages in a sacred dance with the storm. Its mighty trunk sways, its branches give way, bending dramatically, sometimes nearly to the ground. Its leaves are torn and tattered, scattered across the forest floor. From the outside, it might look like defeat. It might look like chaos and surrender. But look closer. The chaos is only on the surface. Deep beneath the ground, something else is happening. The roots are holding fast. They are gripping the dark earth, intertwined with stone and soil, drawing stability from the very ground of being. The tree is letting go of what is superficial. The leaves, though, protect what is essential. its roots and its core. This is the lesson for your own life. Your leaves are your expectations, your carefully laid plans, your attachments to specific outcomes. When the storm hits, these are the first things to go. Your plans will be ripped to shreds. Your expectations will be scattered. The ego will scream that this is a catastrophe. But your resilient, deeper self, the spirit of the oak within you, understands. It knows what to let go of and what to hold on to. It allows the leaves of its plans to fly away. It allows the branches of its outer life to be bent and reshaped, because it is focused on one thing only: protecting the roots. What are your roots? They are your core values, your connection to your inner silence, your self-compassion, your faith in the process of life, your knowing that you are more than your circumstances. When the storm rages, your practice is not to try and save every leaf. Your practice is to send all of your energy, all of your awareness, down into your roots. Anchor yourself in what is real and unchanging within you. And when the storm passes, as all storms do, the oak straightens itself. It may have lost some branches. It is certainly bare of leaves. It bears the marks of its struggle. But it is not broken. It is stronger. The storm has pruned it of what was weak or dead. And most importantly, the struggle has forced its roots to grow even deeper, making it even more stable for the next storm. This is the alchemy of resilience. It turns the poison of adversity into the medicine of strength. This requires a profound shift in your internal dialogue. It requires you to consciously abandon the question that keeps you a victim: why is this happening to me? And adopt the question that makes you a student: what is this teaching me? When you lose a job, after the initial shock and fear, you can ask, what is this teaching me about security, about my identity? Is there a new path this is forcing me to see? When a relationship ends, after the grieving, you can ask, what did this teach me about love, about my own patterns? What is this inviting me to heal within myself? This questioning is not an intellectual exercise. It is a spiritual practice. It is how you participate in your own evolution. You take the raw, painful data of your experience and you look for the lesson, the gift, the strengthening. You ask, which root was I forced to deepen? The root of courage, of patience, of forgiveness, of humility. In doing this, you cease to be a passive object to which life happens, and you become an active partner in your own becoming. You are the alchemist, turning the lead of your pain into the gold of your wisdom. This resilience is one of the highest forms of self-love in action. It is the ultimate statement of trust in yourself. It is saying to your own being, I will not abandon you when things get hard. I will stay with you. I will anchor you. I will trust that you have the resources within you to withstand this. We will let the leaves go. We will allow the branches to bend, but we will not let our core be broken. This is a fierce and tender love. It is the love of a parent who allows their child to struggle with a difficult task, knowing the struggle itself is what will make them capable. You stop trying to build a perfect, fragile life that can be shattered by the first gust of wind. Instead, you cultivate a rugged, flexible, deep-rooted self that can dance with any storm and emerge, not unscathed, but whole and stronger than before. You learn that your scars are not signs of damage, but maps of your strength, testaments to the storms you have survived. This deep, grounded resilience, this trust in your ability to endure and grow, prepares you for the final, most profound practice of all. It is what makes it possible to offer yourself an embrace that is not dependent on the weather, a love that persists not just after the storm, but during it and in the quiet sunshine that follows. It is the foundation for a love that is truly, and finally, unconditional. We have traveled far together on this inner path. We began at the door to a locked room, a space within you that felt alien and forgotten. We found the key and stepped into the silence, learning to listen past the echoes of the world. We gently peeled back the layers of the mask, the persona you wore for survival. We walked through the garden of old wounds, not to erase them, but to tend to them with compassion. We learned to flow with the river of reality, to observe the ego as the architect of suffering, and to find sanctuary in the alchemy of the present moment. You learned to listen to the wisdom of your body, to draw sacred boundaries, to befriend your own shadow, and to forge discipline like a fire in your soul. You stood as a lighthouse, a beacon of your own unique frequency, and you learned the resilience of the oak tree, how to bend in the great storms of life so that you would not break. Each step was a returning. Each practice was an act of remembering. And now we arrive not at an end, but at the very heart of the practice itself. We arrive at the unconditional embrace. For so long, you have been conditioned to believe that love is a reward for good behavior. You were taught that you would be worthy of love when you were successful, when you were perfect, when you were healed, when you had finally fixed all your flaws. And so, your inner life became a relentless improvement project. You treated yourself like a problem to be solved, a machine to be optimized. This is the great spiritual trap, the myth of arrival. It is the belief that there is a future destination, our state of perfect, unshakable enlightenment, where you will finally be done and can rest, deserving of your own love. But this destination does not exist. It is a mirage created by the ego to keep you striving, seeking, and perpetually dissatisfied with the present moment. Life is not a problem to be solved. It is a mystery to be lived. And you are not a project to be completed. You are a being to be loved, right here, right now, exactly as you are. This is the meaning of unconditional. It means love without conditions. It means the embrace is offered not just when you are meditating peacefully or when you are feeling generous and strong. The unconditional embrace is for the moments when you fail. It is for the day you sleep through your alarm. It is for the moment you speak with anger to someone you love. It is for the afternoon you feel lazy and unmotivated. It is for the time you fall back into an old, destructive pattern you thought you had overcome. In these moments, the voice of the inner critic is at its loudest, shouting that you are a fraud, that all this inner work has been for nothing. This is the crucial moment of practice. This is where you choose. Do you join the voice of the critic and whip yourself for your imperfection, or do you offer yourself the embrace? The practice of lifelong self-love is the choice in that precise moment to turn toward yourself with tenderness, not with judgment. It is the quiet, unwavering commitment to never abandon yourself, especially when you feel you least deserve love. This is the final revolution. It is the shift from conditional self-esteem, which is based on your performance, to unconditional self-compassion, which is based on your shared humanity. Your worth is not in question. It is a given. You are a manifestation of life, a child of the universe, and therefore, you are inherently worthy of love. The only question is whether you are willing to accept it from the one person who can offer it to you at any moment, yourself. The metaphor for this practice is the most simple and vital one of all. It is like your breath. You cannot take one deep breath on Monday and hope it will last you for the rest of the week. The breath is a constant, rhythmic exchange, the in-breath and the out-breath. One cannot exist without the other. Self-love is the same. It is a continuous practice. The in-breath is the active receiving of compassion. It is the moment you pause and consciously offer yourself kindness. The out-breath is the letting go. It is the release of perfectionism, the release of self-judgment, the release of the need to be anyone other than who you are in that moment. You breathe in acceptance for your flawed, beautiful self. You breathe out the impossible standard of who you think you should be. In and out, moment by moment. This is not a grand, dramatic achievement. It is a quiet, steady, life-sustaining rhythm. Let this become your most sacred ritual. It requires no special equipment, no sacred space, only your own awareness. It is the self-compassion ritual. The moment you feel the sting of self-criticism, the moment you feel shame or guilt or the heavy cloak of failure, pause. Just for a second, stop the story that is spiraling in your mind. And then, gently, place a hand over your heart. Feel the warmth of your own palm against your chest. This simple physical act is profoundly grounding. It breaks the trance of thought and brings you back into the reality of your body. It signals to your nervous system that you are safe. Then, take one deep, conscious breath. Feel your chest rise to meet your hand, and as you breathe, whisper inwardly to yourself, with all the sincerity you can muster, the words you would offer to a beloved friend who was suffering. Whisper, "I am here with you." Whisper, "This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is a part of life." Whisper, "It's okay. We will get through this together." Or simply, "I love you. I'm listening." Find the words that feel like a balm to your soul. They do not need to be clever or profound. They only need to be kind. Feel the vibration of that kindness in your own heart space. Do this not to fix the feeling or make it go away, but simply to be with it, to hold it in a container of love. This is the unconditional embrace. It is you becoming your own loving parent, your own dearest friend, your own most compassionate witness. You are finally coming home to yourself, not as a perfect being, but as a whole one, capable of holding all of your own contradictions in a loving awareness. The locked room we spoke of at the beginning of our journey, you have not turned it into a perfect palace. You have simply learned how to live there. You have learned to accept its creaks and its shadows. You have made it a home. The practice of self-love is the ongoing act of tending to this home, of keeping the inner fire lit, of ensuring there is always a warm embrace waiting for you, no matter what happens in the world outside. This is not the end of your problems. The oak tree will still face storms, the lighthouse will still see darkness. But you now possess the one thing that can carry you through it all: a loving, non-negotiable alliance with yourself. This embrace, this gentle, lifelong breathing in and breathing out of compassion, is not the final step on the path. It is the path. It is the ground on which you will walk for the rest of your life, no longer a seeker of love, but the source of it. The room inside you is no longer locked. The journey we have taken together has led you back to its very threshold, and this time you walked through with courage and awareness. You have stepped inside. With the breath of presence, you have swept away the thick dust of other people's expectations. With the hands of compassion, you have tended to the overgrown garden of old wounds, allowing new life to grow amidst the scars. You have opened the windows, long sealed shut, to let in the clean air of acceptance and the brilliant light of your own consciousness. It is not a perfect room, nor does it ever need to be. It is not a sterile museum exhibit, finished and unchanging. It is a living space, a sacred temple, messy and beautiful, and exquisitely alive. It is no longer a prison of your past, but the sanctuary of your present. It is home. And know this journey does not end here. This is not a graduation, but a commencement, a beginning. The voice that has guided you through this process is merely an echo of the deeper wisdom that has always resided within you. The tools you have gathered, the sacred pause, the compassionate observation, the inner alignment are not props to be put away. They are now a part of you, integrated into the very fabric of your being. You have the map, and more importantly, you have reconnected with the inner compass that has always been true. The power to continue this path, to deepen this practice, to live from this place of wholeness, does not lie in replaying these words. It lies within you. It has always been there, waiting patiently beneath the noise, a silent, unshakable strength. You are not a seeker of light. You are the source of it. The universe is not a distant entity to be pleaded with. It is the very essence of your being, listening through your own ears, seeing through your own eyes. The path of self-love has led you back to where you always were, whole, complete, and free. Now, open your eyes, not to the world outside, but to the world within, and live from that place. Live